Ready? You did this.
Yeah, let's call this meeting to order. Can I get everyone to stand up for the pledge of allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Russ.
Brandon Earl.
Here.
Andrea Kreifel.
Here.
Sarah Lawrence.
Here.
Jason Newberry. Here. Jessica Seeliger.
Here.
Robert White. Here. Pat Zika.
Okay, next on thing, the adoption of the agenda.
I would make a motion to take one of the items out of the consent agenda and make it a discussion item. And that would be like the lunch prices.
So we'll make that into 2.8 discussion item. So we have a motion and a second.
I really don't think we have to vote, I just said that.
We need to adopt the agenda.
You have to vote.
Oh, but not to move it. Not to take it out, we don't vote.
You'd have to vote to make it a separate item to discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I checked that one time.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Okay. Recognition of patrons and staff. Okay. First discussion item, education spotlight summer school.
Yes, Mrs. Higgins is here this evening, kind of update the board on what's going on in summer school. Appreciate her being here.
How are you guys?
Good, I am good.
Good. So we've started our second session of summer school, and today was the first day for that. We went 3 weeks in June, took a couple weeks off, and now we're gonna finish up 3 weeks in July. There's some pictures on the back of some different activities. Let's kind of explain those a little bit. We went to something called the Wichita Learning Lab, which is in Wichita, and they're trying to get that off and going. They have different types, they're remodeling their facility actually, but our students went there and they gave them 2 physics lessons. One of them, you see the little girl in the middle, she's holding the, looks like, I don't know, antennas on her head and balancing that and spinning, and the kids really got a kick out of that. And then, do I have her on here? Oh darn, I didn't get that picture on here. They out with the older kids, you know, you've seen where you take the tablecloth, you put all the stuff on top of the tablecloth and then you jerk, yes, the kids did that. They thought that was really cool as well.
It worked?
Well, if you did it right. So there's some things like that we've done. The gal here in the Adventure to Library, she come from the Nature Center and talked about animals, amphibians native to Kansas. And one thing that was a little bit interesting, she had a frog with her, and the frogs make noise that other than just a rivet or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like a squeak. And so that was kind of interesting. The kids didn't know that. I learned that, I hope I get this right, all toads are frogs, but not all frogs are toads. Because I asked what the difference was.
All toads are frogs, but not all frogs.
Yes.
Toads.
Yep. So I went through up there at the top it says, about making memories. Just kind of talked to the kids and had the teachers kind of add their 2 cents about what they'd heard the kids say. The kids think summer school is fun. We had many ask if we could come back in July, even though they hadn't enrolled for July. Can we still come in July? Absolutely. We build relationships there. There's increased participation by the students. So some of those students that maybe are a little bit shy or a little bit reluctant to speak during the regular school year with everybody there, they kind of come out of their shells and there's a lot more participation. And then we've also had some positive feedback from parents. There were some parents that were considering sending their kids to summer school, and they were encouraged to do so because the kids are having a fun time and that sort of thing. So I kind of broke it up into areas. I wasn't really sure what all you wanted to know. We have students who are seeing success in summer school who maybe had difficulty transitioning during the regular school year, and I don't know if just because the numbers are small or I don't know what the difference is, but they seem to pick up on the transitions a whole lot better. Several students mentioned that they really never get a chance to get out of Wellington, so the fact that we take them to surrounding towns to go to the Wichita Lab and some of those things, they really appreciated that. We're also starting to see some kids show their independence. They're speaking up and maybe doing things and volunteering or initiating play when we're doing our STEM activities and things like that that maybe they didn't see during the regular school year. The teachers really like it when they go over some of the, math facts and those things that are usually boring or whatever. But when the kids finally get it and they have that aha moment, that's what the teachers said that they really enjoyed doing that. Health and fitness, we do different activities. We have a session every day for each grade level. They do different things as far as activities are concerned. Today they were throwing a beanbag through a hula hoop and all of those types of things, had to spell things and whatnot. And then they also make snacks. So in June, we made a parfait, taught them how to do that. We taught them how to do nutrition bars with the oatmeal and that sort of thing. And then how to make pizza using biscuits. They thought that was pretty cool. Another thing maybe you hadn't thought of is Sumner County Mental Health still get to see their clients during the summer. And so they meet right there in Lincoln, and she has an office there. And so that is beneficial to our students. We have a SPED teacher that is there, and she makes for sure that all IEP students get their minutes. And she commented to me that she saw confidence in the kids as far as being able to read if they're at the word level or sentence level or paragraph level. She was really impressed with that. And she also noticed that they are a little bit quicker with their math fluency. Again, it could be just because there's fewer numbers and they know there's not always going to be someone that answers all the questions, and so maybe they feel more comfortable doing that. And then we also think the small atmosphere, the small group atmosphere really affords the students to feel good about themselves and to have success. So forth. I caught a kid in the hall today. I said, "Why are you at summer school?" Because I'm supposed to be here. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Are you having fun?" He goes, "Yeah, don't tell anybody." So I think it's going really good. If you come over, it's really relaxed. I wish we could really find a way that we could adapt that relaxed atmosphere of summer school into the regular school year. If we could figure out how to do that, I think we would be millionaires. Because it's just different. It's just a different feel. It's a different feel for staff, a different feel for kids. You don't always have to follow a schedule and doing this, and this. And it just kind of puts a different spin on it. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, I have some numbers up here. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, you guys can read. June, we had a few more students. We had several show up today that were not on our list from before, which is fine. We just let them come on in and add them to our list. So
Numbers look pretty good.
not too shabby. Not too shabby. Not many fifth graders.
What's the schedule like for them?
So we have it blocked out. The only thing that's officially blocked is what we call healthy and fitness time. That's about a 30-minute period that the kids go for that. But then as far as a regular schedule, they don't really necessarily have one. We do reading, we do math, and then we do STEM activities. And then after lunch is mostly all STEM activities.
I guess I meant like from what time to what time?
Oh, I'm sorry. We go from 8 to 1,
8 to 1. Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Have you heard transportation or anything's a problem getting kids there?
I haven't heard any.
Do you think it might?
Nobody's mentioned anything about
Just
that.
curious.
The summer school is separate from the ESY program. I didn't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but the ESY program is what Jennifer Llewellyn teaches for her students. And that is in her session ran a little bit different. So if you hear people talking about different times or different days, that would be why. She went 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the entire month of June. So she went an extra week in June. So if you hear people talking about different times, that would be why.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next on discussion, school supply initiative.
Yes, Irma is here this evening, and Michelle came to me with a fabulous idea, so they're going to present it to you.
Hello.
Some information.
Irma Ratliff, Michelle Wellington. We're on the Wellington Young Professionals Board. In May, we met and we talked about ways to give back to the community. So we talked about school supplies. and how some parents can afford them and some can't. They do get the $100 gift card from the casino, but sometimes they can't pay for school fees and clothes and all the above. So we met with Adam a couple times and we got numbers on how many students are in the district. And then we met with Walmart, Alyssa, to see how much it would cost to pay for all the school supplies. It came out to $38,662. That was a retail price, but after the discounts and everything, it came out to around $20,000, which is only $1,450 each student. We are currently fundraising. We have a bingo event this Saturday, and we just want to let you know what we're doing in the community. And if we don't get enough funds, we plan to pivot that idea and hopefully help with like field trips, buses, because we know those have gone up over the years. And hopefully we start earlier, so that way we can pay for them all next year.
So yeah, we got a little late start this year, but it is something that we're passionate about and want to possibly include, because there's a lot of communities around us who do that same thing. They provide the school supplies, so the parents are in charge of getting clothes, fees, the special, the backpack, the fun stuff. And this is not every single school supply. This is a majority of the school supplies. We weren't doing like tissues, Clorox wipes, Ziploc bags, snacks. This was the crayons, the markers, the scissors, the pencils, which we need like a lot of pencils.
Yeah,
like
13,000 pencils.
Yeah, like it was crazy. But yeah, we worked it out. Every school, every grade, how many students.
K through 12.
We have some great Excel spreadsheets. So if we can't do that, we're hoping we have a great bingo fundraiser during the Wheat Festival this Saturday at the Knights Hall. And all the proceeds from that will go to the school somehow.
Yeah.
How are we doing it? I mean, if we raise 20,000, I guess we're getting school supplies. So.
But that's where we are. If you have any questions, reach out to Michelle or I, or Lions Club's helping as well. So
So are you actually looking at buying the supplies or getting the money?
buying the supplies, hopefully.
And then distributing those to the schools?
Yes.
Handout? Okay.
Directly to the schools, so that way they don't get lost in transition from
Sure.
parents to the
Yeah, so we'd
schools.
say, okay, Eisenhower needs this many,
Right.
whatever, and get it to the school, and then the school would pass out like, okay, kindergarten needs this, that kind of thing.
Right.
Cause again, a lot of the items are very similar. Some classes may need more folders or more crayons or whatever, but, it was very, and the high school doesn't need a ton.
No.
Middle school, we weren't doing the special, supplies that like, what is it, not gym, but
Yeah.
the special classes, we were just doing they need markers, they need this, they need that, so.
Adam, that's not an issue as far as staff handing supplies out and stuff like that.
If we get the donation, we'll
Sure.
be happy to take care of that. Yep.
Right.
Appreciate them thinking about us.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's awesome. So I like the field trip idea too.
Thank you guys for
Alright.
the
Thank you
effort
guys.
and everything, and the time and the legwork, because that's really cool for our community, so thank you.
So spread the word, come to our bingo nights, it's gonna be fun.
Bingo afternoon.
Afternoon, so it's not
Doors
too
open at
hot.
1, it's at 2 at the Knights Hall. So it's air conditioned.
There's food,
So
Oh.
so even better.
Yes.
Alright, thank you guys for your time.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, girls.
Thank you guys, thanks for coming.
Alright, next up, sports officiating class.
Yes, Mr. Nance is here to discuss a class that he has some information on for students getting a chance to learn about officiating.
So you put it in, I think it's in your packet. Yeah. So the class is, the curriculum and all that is provided by Ref Reps. And why would you offer a officiating class to high school kids? This came to me because in Cheney, they offer this class, the Intro to Sports Officiating. They, at their volleyball tournament that they have, the kids who are in that class do the lines as a way to give back and as a way to get knowledge because they're studying the volleyball curriculum in there. In your information, there's some points that they make. The number of high school officials have dropped by 20%. Over the past 3 years. They also, basketball officials, they give information about how far they are down, 30% in 10 years, volleyball 16%, and football 15%. The benefit for this class, or the cost, I guess, it's $45 a seat, right? So if Pat's in that class and Bob's in that class, each of them would be $45 for that class. So if they assign that, say Bob wants to do volleyball and Pat wants to do basketball. It's $45 for them to get that done. They can get 3 classes done in a semester. So each of those would be $45. So it's kind of pricey. But what that does is RefReps has a partnership with Keisha. And so it costs $65 for a kid to get, or an adult to get registered with Keisha to officiate a sport, to add a sport. And they waive that fee if you've done this program. It is a need. It's a need in our district. Talking with Ellie, when we talked about offering this, she said at the 4 o'clock start times, she has an awful time getting people to it. They're sometimes late. They have to start short. And if we were growing our own official in one of our classes, we would have them there for that. When talking to Keisha about age requirements, so hey, can a high school kid, what can they do? Keisha is not an age requirement state for officiating. So say Bob got really good at volleyball, then Bob could do a varsity match if that's what was required of them, or that we had that need, right? If you've got a kid who has a real passion for those things, they build that knowledge and they have that vigor about them, can take some of that jawing. They can do any level, right? The other nice thing on our student side is this stays with them forever, right? So if they take this RefReps class and they get certified in basketball, they have access to that as long as they keep their account current and they do their rules meetings through there. It is a lifelong thing. It also talks about how much money they can make in there. And so you'll see that on this page here. It talks about refereeing. If you work 30 hours, you make $975 plus. And I think I've talked to a few kids and they really seem interested in it. I've talked to a few parents and they seem really interested in it. The way you offer it, as you can see there, is all online. Kids, like I said, can complete 3 classes or 3 courses in a semester at that $45 amount each kid. If you would purchase 10 seats, which is where we'd want to go, the curriculum is free to the school and the teacher has free access to that as well. So if we spend $450 on 10 seats, which never go away, then we don't have to pay for the curriculum, right? They don't go away until they're used. So if Bob completes the first part of the training, that seat is considered consumed. If Bob gets into that training and he doesn't complete that first one, he's like, hey, this is not for me, then it's not used and it stays as a credit. I think we'd have a lot of interest in this and it would take care of our officiating problem that we have. It'd get our kids involved. You don't have to be an athlete that's playing a sport to officiate, and it would get our kids involved in more supporting our younger kids. It would help with our officiating that several kids do with the rec center. I just think it would be a great thing to offer. And calling and talking to Cheney, they offer the class every other year, so that is an option. They're a lot smaller than we are, and so they offer it every other year. But they have a real problem with getting people to come all the way to Cheney to officiate. And so they're using past students that maybe are just working in the community or working in the area that still live there. And almost all of their elementary or middle school games are done by student teams that have been through these classes. So there's a lot of good experience for our kids, and it stays with them. This is like that certificate completion that we talk about through CTE. They would have this, and as long as they keep it up to date, it would never go away from them. So the part that I see that could be a problem is the $45 a class.
I have a question first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at one time, I think you said, in a semester, could I get certified for volleyball, basketball, for 3 things?
Yeah, you could get
In a
done with
semester.
3 in a semester.
$45 for each?
Each.
Okay.
And on this piece of paper here that says RefReps on the front of it is all the ones they offer. We would not push swim and dive because we don't have swim and dive right now. I know there's a huge need for them because it's hard to get them at the meets in Wichita. They could get certified in track and field. I believe a town out west, there's an article about them doing that, like their kids are learning to be starters. But some of that, like flag football, we don't offer flag football here, so we would kind of keep it to the things that would help our community. Okay. Some creative ways of financing. The parent I talked to today, she said, I want my kid in that class if you offer it, and I'll just pay for them. Okay, great. There are some people who can't afford to do that, and we don't want to limit that. So there is a partnership in Cheney and some of the other places in Kansas that do it, where it's $45. The first 2 activities you work, you gift that money back to the program, right? So I don't know what they make at the middle school level, but I know it's not too shabby, but they gift that back. That's one way they fund it. The other way another group does it is their booster club funds it, because they want to have that as well, or it could be paid for curriculum. But I do think we'd have interest, and the timeline on it, if you didn't want to approve it for this fall, that's okay. We could push it to the fall of 25. But when I met with Caleb, the guy who's the rep, he said you could, as long as you can get your teacher in and get them trained, you could offer it in the fall. So it could be something we could do start of school. The kids have a week to change classes. We could push out a social media post about it and see what interest there is, and just another class we can diversify and offer to our kids. And it would help our problem with officiating.
Be great job while you're in college.
Yeah.
That's what
I've been trying to get.
my nephew's girlfriend's going to school to be a teacher and she wants to coach and this is what she's doing and it's looking great on her resume when she's showing the coaching that she has this, so.
In free time in the evenings, and it's great for college kids, so we can.
Okay, so you mentioned like, are there modules that you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so there are, in the packet, it talks about the modules you would go through on page 5. So it breaks it out for baseball. So week 1, here's what you do. Week 2, here's what you do. And it's all lined out that way. The nice thing about it is if there's 10 kids in the class and I don't want to umpire baseball, I don't have to be working on the exact same one as everybody else. It's a self-paced prescriptive learning.
so you were saying that if you get into the class and you don't pass the modules, so is the $45 dependent upon passing it?
Once you move through the first module,
The first module.
it's considered consumed.
Okay, first module, okay.
Yeah. So once you move through that first whole module, you complete that, it's considered consumed. If we buy 10 seats and we don't use them, as long as we have the program, they don't go away. They're credited to our account.
How would we fit this into the schedule? And
So we have a PE teacher that has a opening that we're looking for another class to add. He could just come alongside and offer this.
I also saw where in the information you'd said that like some of the teams were doing it as a team.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. You
Yeah.
know the rules better, right?
Right, yeah, if you have a team that struggles with some of the calls that are made, you could put them through that, right? So they understand the game better. And doing research and looking at some of the conversations that are had out there about it, there is kids who are learning that and playing at the same time and having conversations about, hey, the calls that were made, instead of, oh my gosh, can you remember that? That was terrible. We're going to talk about why that was good or why it was bad and how it could have been changed. It helps them understand the game from a different aspect as well.
Do the modules include the point of view videos?
Yes, there's videos and hands-on training, and then the definitions of things and aspects for them to get some real-world experience. It talks about a capstone in here as well, which Cheney has done that with their volleyball tournament, having them debrief after they've done that in the next class. So I like that they offer it every other year because it gives their kids an opportunity for just something different. I think we'd have the interest to offer it every year. And it's a half credit.
I think we already have a lot of high school kids refereeing, like the younger kids, at the rec center.
Yep.
So I think this is a great idea. I love it. And it saves a lot of money. If they were to go do that individually, it would cost them $150.
Right. Yeah, they waive the $65 fee, and then if after that, when they want to add something to it, so say I get certified in basketball and I want to add baseball, it's just $25 because there's such a need, that partnership with Keisha.
So I would make a motion to buy 10 seats of the officiating class for incorporation into our curriculum this fall.
Second.
Okay, we got them.
I've got some questions.
Go ahead.
So to follow up on Sarah's question, the scheduling piece of it, you answered the question as far as the teacher scheduling, but what about the student scheduling?
Right.
Two kids that went through the high school, schedules get really freaking tight.
They do.
If it's a Board of Regents kid, there's no spots. There's no availability to take these courses.
Right.
Because there's no spots left open. We have so many things that they have to take in order to hit that niche, that there's no spots to take that. So how do we accommodate that?
So
They don't think.
it does come in choice, right? I look at my daughter who is in the middle school. She's going to complete all that stuff. There are things she wants to take in the middle school, but she also wants to be in band, right? And band's all year. And so when she goes into FFA, that's all year. So
And then
her
teach more
choices are
languages.
limited, right? And that would be a decision they'd have to make. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do it more than this other class? So we do under robbing from Peter to pay Paul in
And
that.
sometimes you get as much out of those classes you're talking about than being a Board of Regents, because, I mean.
But we want to support them in what they want to do, right?
I think
I
we
mean,
want to keep supporting Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Oh, we do, sure, but I'm just saying, it's not, these might get me farther than saying I took.
So we want to support them. Are we gonna is every kid gonna be able to do it? No. And that's
So,
unfortunate.
Then the other question I have is, so we're gonna have our high school kids roughing our high school kids?
They would be at the middle school. That's where they'd start. If you had to plug somebody in, it would be somebody who's done it a really long time and maybe at the JV level. I don't know if you've been to some JV games,
Yeah.
but some of those are kids, right? They've just graduated, very unconfident. But Mrs. Johnson would just have to do some evaluating of that before we put them on the high school court.
Could they go somewhere else? I mean, could they go to Mulvaney? They could go somewhere else.
Yeah,
I mean-
if they're licensed, they could
Yeah.
go wherever, like
But
our
we're
adults
talking
do.
about not having the money to pay for the class, and now we're saying traveling out of city.
That would be
It's a choice.
yeah. They'd have to choose, but we would try and use them at the middle school level, not at the high school, unless we had somebody who was just a standout that we needed to plug in at the JV level.
Right.
I mean, it pays. The youth football league that runs here in town, referees make $50 a game and there's 6 games a day.
Cole
So,
made $600,
Yeah.
like
You can make,
a day
You
and
can make money.
for, like with softball at Goddard. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, he's
seems like I'm not
licensed,
going back to the
USSA.
Americans.
I mean, do you think we're gonna have more than 10 kids that wanna do this? Like, do you think we're gonna have you done any?
I think
markers?
because we don't have it rolled out yet, kids don't know we're offering it except for a few that I've kind of polled. I think 10's a good place to start. If we had the need for more, I'd come back and say,
Okay.
hey, we've got 15 that want to be in there. I wouldn't want any more than 15 to be in there because that's a lot of kids looking at those things.
And so, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Your recommendation is every other year?
Every year.
Yeah, I could go for that. I just want to see how it goes the first year. The other thing we have looking at is, can a kid take that first semester and second? They can, but we'd have to change the title of the class. It would have to be a 2 or a thing like that. Right? That makes sense?
so what if the kid only wants to do one sport? What
Right.
would they do with the rest of the semester?
So they would have to look at how they do a project that would be outside of this to do that, right? Because you need to get that experience. You need to look at what we're going to do and the confidence in those things. My recommendation would that be you do at least 2.
But you said that they're dynamic, they can take as long as they want to get a module, so.
Yeah, it
if the
also
kid-
says you can get through it in
They're like
5
hours.
5 weeks, right?
So again, back to the scheduling thing, that's 1 hour a day at the high school,
Yeah, 1 period.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just be a singleton.
and if they wanna take the baseball and run it all semester long, they can.
They don't have to get through 3.
What happens?
But if they wanna go through 3, they could.
Yep.
And then there's no out-of-class activities that they have to do in order to meet that.
No.
But if they
Their
take-
first officiating thing would be considered a capstone project, and wherever we plug them in with that, that's how it would be
So the
considered.
capstone's required on all of them?
It's not required, but that's what it would be considered. It'd be considered like a completer through the CTE. But you'd want them to actively use it. That's what they would be pushed to do.
And I have one question, if we get 20 kids out of the chute that wanna try this, do you have a way to condense that down to maybe the max of 15?
Right, that would be as many that could be open, in my opinion, as
So you
15
just do the
kids.
first 15 and,
Yep.
okay.
Just like art class, the first 45 get into that,
Okay.
or however many it is.
I have a feeling it would be popular, so that's where I was getting with my earlier question, like, if that was a problem, then we need to come up with a creative solution, like, you're not gonna say no, you know, to people
Right.
wanting to take a class, but maybe like a, I don't know,
We could talk
about
to
that later.
outside stakeholders for funding and things like that as well.
So what I was reading in the stuff you said, what it said, so anywhere 5 weeks to 15 weeks, did I see 15 weeks you could take to come submit or to do one class? So you have to go into the class knowing how many you wanna do.
Yeah.
And then you take your time, you divide up your time
Right.
based on
So
the
if you wanna
sports.
get 3 done,
Uh-huh.
you'd have to go in saying, hey, I wanna do this, and you'd have to pace yourself. The teacher would say, hey, you've gotta be done in this much time to get through this in the semester, and check in with them and work through. They can check all the modules that they're doing and how they're doing with it, with the online curriculum. And so if they know that you wanna get through 3, then you gotta be done in 5 weeks.
And this is a PE class?
It's PE credit. Cheney only offers it for 10th through 12th grade, because your freshman PE, we need you to get the health to do the state requirements. So freshmen aren't allowed to take it at Cheney, which is probably the pattern we would follow, 10th through 12th grade.
Say you had more than 15 and you had like 3 seniors and a sophomore that were close to making the cut or didn't make the cut, would you allow the older students in before the younger?
Yeah, we'd fill it with the older kids first. And the thing you have to remember is that we're offering it in the fall and in the spring. So there'd be 30 seats all year. Yeah, we had 15 in each time.
Any other questions? Andre, do you wanna repropose your?
It's still on.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's still- just-
So are we voting to adopt it into the schedule or are we voting to fund it? Or what are we doing? What are we voting on?
I voted for 10 seats.
10
Or
seats
I motioned for 10 seats.
to be
fund the
available
10
in the
seats?
fall, that's what I
Or
heard you
to-
say.
To fund the 10 seats available for the fall.
But, I mean, is that $450 or is that's just to get the curriculum?
That's the seats. So if you wanna take a class,
There's
It's
gonna be a seat for me.
$45.
Okay, I just wanna make you pay, I thought so, but
With 10 seats, the curriculum's free.
that's the magic number.
So we have a motion and a second.
Per semester. 10 seats per semester.
As I
10
understand it,
seats.
talking to Caleb, 10 seats total.
Period.
for the year.
Oh, for the
Once,
year.
once they're burnt, they're
5 in the
burnt.
spring and 5, because you said you wanted to do
However it
it 2
works out.
semesters.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, 10 and 10 both semesters, 15.
So then you're looking at $900.
Oh, okay, that's,
that's what I'm getting at. Are we talking about funding it for total 10 seats for the whole year or 10 per
So when you get to
semester?
the 10 number, the curriculum's free for the whole year. But if you use 10 seats in the first semester, you're gonna need 10 more in the spring. So I guess I would ask that you fund 20 seats for the whole year.
But are you looking at paying back with them working, like we were talking about?
I would like that.
Where if they work a game for us, they take those, they donate it, Ellie pays me instead of that person.
So it's
And then that
essentially
would
a
go
loan.
back into whatever you've already
So it
spent.
keeps funding itself.
So
year
kind
after
of,
year.
we're paying the
Pays for
first
itself.
year and then hopefully in future years,
It'll
we're
continue to
funding
fund
it.
itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of them having a little responsibility and paying it back. I mean, it's an adult thing. You've got to pay your bills, you know? I like that.
So my last comment, we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so, but I like the program, I think it's a good program. I'm a very detail oriented person, I wanna know how this is gonna be worked out, those details as far as are they paying back, are they not paying back?
Okay.
Are they doing capstones, are they not doing capstones? Are they doing 1, they doing 3?
Right.
They take an whole semester to do 1. That just seems like there's a lot of variables out there that I don't have answers for.
Okay.
So.
I agree. I'd like a detailed proposal. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we propose, and then I'd feel really good about like,
That's fine.
that's just me.
Is it gonna be too late by the next board meeting to approve it then?
No.
Okay.
No, when's the next board meeting?
It'll be in August. but,
August what?
Eighth, I think, no,
Yeah. I'm looking.
So he says he
might be too late.
turnarounds like that, but we can push it to the next year. I just want to be able to offer this to the kids.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's a great,
It's a
and
week before.
I love the idea. Even if you could, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but I'd come in for a special meeting for it, but.
Could you still plan for it and still get a proposal done in
Yeah.
August?
Sure can.
So it sounds like everybody's favorable, just wanna see a proposal, so.
I agree.
That's
If we
just
brought
me.
it, no, that's right.
I agree.
It's completely fine. I learned about it
Yeah.
just
If you can plan
recently.
for it in the
Yeah.
schedule,
Yeah.
and then we can bring a proposal in August, and then you're already ready and you already know it's coming, and.
Yeah,
Is that
we'll do
all right?
But we do have a motion and a second on the floor still,
Yeah.
so.
And with that, we'd still be able to get it off the ground first semester.
Okay.
So we're not keeping you from.
Nope.
Implementing.
Nope.
Okay.
Not holding me up. He said it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
You're good.
Okay. Thought we were getting there.
So, you gotta go.
Okay, I'll get you your proposal and we'll get that worked out.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
All right, next up, special education update.
Yes, Tara is going to discuss special education. At our planning session on the 17th, the board discussed adding a couple positions to deal with behavioral issues on structured classrooms, and so that's one of the things Tara's going to cover this evening.
So can I just say what, last year I did the book up in Blue Valley, because that's where I taught, and the referee came up and, I know you, I've known you for, he has been reffing for 45 years. Because they have not been able to get people, and that's in Kansas City, in a big district, so I thank you. I think that coaches will thank you too, because that's another big worry for us. But anyway, I'm here to talk about special education. First, thank you. You took a leap of faith because I wasn't here at the meeting, and you okayed 2 special education teachers. So I want to thank you. So the reason this kind of came about is in 22-23, at the end of the year, we had 4 social workers in each elementary. And they did our SEL and they did our therapies for our kids on IEPs that needed that extra support. In 23-24, they all went to different jobs outside our district, and that kind of left us stumbling a little bit to find people for it. Those were master level class educators, right? Master level social workers. So in that, we got Cat 8, categorical 8, so support for it. When we hired 3 social workers, but they are at the bachelor's level. And then we also hired a counselor. None of those could do the therapies that we needed that were already on IEPs. So all that got pushed back out to all of our special education teachers. So on top of trying to teach the reading and the math, they were also dealing with a lot of the therapies that were needed. And so what I've also noticed in talking with principals and looking about is that we have a lot of kids coming to us not quite ready for school. That includes self-regulating skills, which self-regulation is a key part of executive functioning and also a key part of learning. And so in working with the principals throughout the year, we've come together and looked. In our functional classroom, we had 2 types of students, right? We had kids that, what we call the functional level, which is an IQ below 70. We had some other kids in there that had a higher IQ, we just couldn't get it yet. And so they're more of a structural, what we call structured classroom. I had Tazin come down and talk to us about a couple specific needs from that functional classroom, and we kind of moved a couple of kids across the hall. Chris's team has been great. We also implemented something called zones of regulation, and in doing that, that helped set some common language for kids and adults on where they were to start talking about if they're angry, they're in a red zone, or if they're sad, they might be in a blue zone. But there was nothing wrong with being in any zone. We never made it good or bad, it was just where you're at. But you can't stay there if you're up here, you can't, so we're working on some of those things. With you guys approving the 2 special education teachers, I met with all the 4 elementary principals last Monday for about 2.5 hours. And what we talked about is 2 options. So currently at Kennedy and at Lincoln, we have 2 special education teachers for the building. At Washington and Eisenhower, we only have 1. So our option was to take the 2 and put them at the other 2 buildings, so each building had 2 special education teachers. Or we could take one of the new special education teachers and develop a structured classroom. With the short amount of time we had, we have to prepare all this to hire special education teachers, to get them trained and to get everything in place. The 4 elementary principals kind of decided that it would be best to spread the 2 out and have 2 at each building. In doing that, we now have a classroom. Now, it's not just going to be necessarily just for special education students per se. We're going to set up a sensory area in each elementary. And what sensory does is helps with some of that self-regulation, helps them get excess energy out, may help them calm, whatever that student needs. They don't necessarily have to be in special education to use that area, that particular part of the room, right? And then we're also adding structure, not a full committed structured classroom, but each building will have an SEL portion that is more structured. So they will learn the teachers and paras will learn how to use a visual schedule, and will have different ways to work with sensory needs and all those things that we're seeing throughout all the buildings. Incorporating the zones in each building would be like a level 1. We actually had that in an MTSS plan from a couple of years ago that Chad was able to share with me that he had got from Jennifer. So it's stuff that has already been planned out by what TASN or the state says we need to do. So it's not like I'm just bringing stuff in from anywhere. So that's what we're kind of looking at. I don't know if that answers your questions about the 2 special education teachers, or if you have more questions or anything along those lines. I will say in adding the 2 special education teachers, that also gives us that CAT aid back. So we're not totally funding the special ed just by ourselves. The categorical aid will come to us, and that will add back to our things. Yes.
And we're only going to hire qualified special education teachers.
That is always my goal.
I mean, I know, but I totally understand everything you just said. I think it's great. I think it's necessary. I'm glad we're going to do it if we can, but I have a problem with, it's just how it is. I get it.
Well, I think the important part is the training for paras and for the teachers. Even if just having a special education degree, if you haven't been trained in the current things that are going on with SEL or any of that, then it doesn't matter if you necessarily have a special ed degree or don't. It's all about the neuroscience behind it, the zones, and the language, and all those things. So the most important part to me is the training, and then follow up the training. Like, we can train all day and all night. I don't know if you've ever been in a day training and they're talking about different things and they're all great ideas, and you go back and work on Monday and you're like, how do I implement it? Who do I call? What are those things? So I think that that's the most crucial part of this, is the training aspect of it. Which I'm working with Chad, I'll be working with Chad and the whole admin team, principals and everybody on this. This isn't just my suggestions, it's been taking everyone into consideration and having those conversations with principals and the needs. So, of course, I would love to hire special education teachers. The other good thing though is, I don't know if you know, but 2 of our teachers this year graduated with their masters, and they'll now have their full certification, and that's because we have things in place that we do here that help pay for that to happen, and now they're here and now they're fully licensed. And so that's part of the Grow Your Own that I'm hoping to continue.
But we do have something in place that if we grew them, they stay here for X amount of years.
Right now it's only 2.
I'll just
Yeah.
say a lot of the bigger districts
think
do
maybe-
more,
yeah.
but that's not what we're talking
No, we're
about,
not
so.
saying now, but that is something to consider, I think, because I have heard that.
Yes, so but again, 2 of them graduated, so now we go from an LEL license in that categorical way to a full funded person who can now also help mentor our new teachers that we're bringing in, because they've been going through everything that they're now going through, trying to go to school. That's a hard thing. At Kennedy, we have 2 elementary teachers who are working on their masters, learning how to do IEPs, providing services, and all those things, and then trainings and, all those things, and they just don't get enough credit for what they're doing, not from you guys, just from people in general, because they're also parents, they're also, and all these things that we're asking them to do. So it's pretty amazing, the people that you have here in Wellington that are willing to do the things they're willing to do to serve your community.
How many openings do we have that we're trying to special ed that we're trying to fill?
I'm sorry,
How many openings are we trying to fill?
right now just 2,
Just 2?
the 2 new ones. Everyone else came back.
Oh, okay, I thought we had, last time I thought I asked them we had.
Now, teachers, special education teachers. Today, we have 2 speech paths open. Today, I got a phone call or an email saying she accepted the position, and then right before the board meeting, she goes, "Oh, Hayesville got back to me, I'll let you know tomorrow." So, as far as teachers though, all the teachers came back. So that's great. Now, as far as the other, we need a physical therapist, she retired. And so, but those are the things that we're looking for right now. We also have a gifted facilitator, he's going to school to get his degree. So we did hire an ESOL facilitator this year who has experience from Arc City. So, are there any other questions or did I answer? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, next up, June policy updates.
Yes, okay, your June policy updates are in your packet. We had a little change that I put in your notes because the new Title IX requirements the courts have put a hold on that. And so those particular policies you can ignore within that, as that is still working through the courts. KSB had originally put those out there and then have now withdrawn those for board's consideration until further action through the court system. So, but the other policies that are in there are up for your review. Any discussion? The policy committee did meet and discuss those with our attorney. And so those are now out, besides the ones listed, are out for your discussion or consideration to put into policy.
This was way easier than the last time.
Yes, it is.
It got done before an hour, so
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah, good, yeah. This is the first time you're seeing them, so you're welcome to sit on until next month if you would like some more time to look at them, but like I said, they have been through committees.
A lot of these, Lori, the attorney at KSB said, we don't have a lot of leeway, it's like a lot of federal stuff in the June updates, so we didn't have a lot we could get real picky on, so that's what made it really easy.
Yep.
So can we adopt as presented, or do we have to remove those?
I would probably, if you're going to move on them tonight, I would probably adopt the June policy updates without, and just say the ones you're not going to adopt. Does that sound right, Russ?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Or
Not much you can do. I mean, change the rule.
They won't be ready next
Then
month
I
either.
move we adopt the June policies as presented, excluding policy GAAC, policy GARICA. No, that's my name. GARIA. Policy JGEC, policy JGECAA.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, same sign?
Thank you.
Next one,
Until
juvenile,
December.
juvenile reinvestment grant.
Yes, good, happy news. The district, as you know, had a goal last year of putting some things into place to tackle chronic absenteeism in the district. And one of the things that we tried to work on was going for a grant to get an additional SRO. Our SRO, Leslie, who started this year, is phenomenal. Great human being, great everything. We try to sing her praises as much as possible because we really appreciate her work this year, and she will be back. And so, but with as much time as consumed with the happenings of the community, we thought that having an additional SRO, which has been talked about for a while, would be great. We currently with Leslie, we have it's officially a City of Wellington employee. But the district pays for half of all of her salary and benefits, and so with this would be a full granted SRO position, so it would not impact the district's budget or the city's budget. It would be a straight grant money, and that would allow 2 people to get the jobs done that are happening with one now, which hopefully will free both of them up to tackle chronic absenteeism in the community, and so. And that'll definitely, with it being an SRO, give them some teeth to really dive in and make that happen with families. And so, we, whenever you are, we put the letter in there, so whenever you are comfortable, we'd appreciate your action on that, acceptance of that grant.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
This is a great thing, but how long's the grant good
I
for?
think the grant is year to year, is my understanding.
Okay, so we can reapply
Yes,
each year?
we will,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
So it says 78,000 for fiscal year 2025. Is that one position?
That's one position, yeah. But
Is that comparable to
including all the
Benefits.
stuff
All
that goes with it,
benefits.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot going into an employee besides just the
So
salary.
currently we pay half of her salary and city pays the other part.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yep.
with the cost, okay.
And this would be
Same with
fully,
this. This would be
this would be,
all of it,
all
insurance, everything in there, and
this position would be entirely covered by grant.
this person might know it's just for 1 year.
We would have to be honest about that, unless the city decided that they wanted, sorry, Jeff, I'm throwing you under the bus. Unless the city decided that they wanted to, but I'll leave that between Jeff and Tracy and stay out of that business, so. But yeah, it is just grant money for 1 year, and did talk to Chief, so he's aware of this and can take care of things on their end, because obviously the district is not going to buy police cars and guns and stuff like that, so.
Do we know how is it gonna be high school again, 2 at the high school, or are we gonna?
We'll need to get together and decide. I'm not sure that's completely been decided yet. I would want to get Leslie's opinion after
Okay, cool.
getting all that done.
So I guess that's a little bit of my question. You just mentioned police cars and guns. I mean, so you say fully funded, but I mean, that's obviously not covering a vehicle. That's not covering.
When I talked to Chief, he was comfortable with how we're going about this. So what happens on the city end, I'm not aware, so. Sorry, Jeff, really.
Currently, they have a vehicle, currently they have all those things.
For one
She
SRO.
does. Yeah, I know, I'm just saying. Currently, we didn't, the city's doing that, so.
Correct.
Assuming, same.
Yeah, I don't.
What I'm trying to
Chief here
understand,
for that.
I'm not great at math, but if we have $78,000 for one person, the city pays half, we pay half. No,
No, this is
This is
one
for both.
position.
This is-
Funded.
both.
This,
covers all of it.
So our current
Okay.
position would still be half and half.
Okay.
This position would be fully grant funded, so it would not affect either budget.
Got it. Thank you. I need that.
Except for anything, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions?
So you said you talked to Tracy.
I have.
So I mean, obviously the SRO portion of the duties is during the school year.
Correct.
So the 3 months during the summer
city.
goes back to the city,
I would
just like
assume
the
that's,
current SRO.
I would assume that's how it goes, so.
The grant covered them in the 3 months?
Uh,
Year.
I assume,
That's for the
I
fiscal
mean, I
year
would assume it's the
Okay.
setup for the year, so.
Because that's currently how it is.
Yeah.
She works for the city in the summer.
The draft agreement that was presented as part of the grant proposal basically
just upped the amount of staff that would be potentially allocated to this program. So the understanding was that, you know, all other terms remain the same, just the number of staff dedicated to it would increase. So we do anticipate that, yes, we would probably get some direct use out of that person during the off times. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
Do we need a motion to accept this?
We would just need acceptance of the grant for the
Make a motion
auditors.
that we accept the juvenile reinvestment grant and
Got a motion on the
apply it
table,
to the new students.
Second?
a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Okay. Planning session review.
Yes, okay, so I put this purposefully on the agenda. We had a planning session on June 17th. And unfortunately, we had 3 members who could not be here, so I wanted to make sure everybody had all the materials and were caught up and could have a chance to ask any questions and all those things, so the board was back together on the same page. And so that evening, I'm not going to repeat everything from that evening. It was 3.5 hours, so we probably don't want to go through all that again, but we discussed district goals, which are in your packet. We discussed strategic plan, which in your packet. Both of those things will, after this, would be up for action in August. Building needs assessments, which inform the budget, were discussed that night. And then district handbooks, which is a more immediate need, were discussed that evening, and then the notes from that meeting were sent off to principals. Principals then went back to their handbooks and did revisions to the best of their ability under those notes. And then, so the district handbooks, because it's July, is really the biggest thing about getting approved this evening. We did put that in your consent agenda for approval later on. However, any discussion that happens tonight or any changes could be made there as well. It's just kind of a timely thing. Next year, based off of how this year went, we will probably back up handbooks to the spring so that we have more time in case there's concerns on those than we have in the past. So that, I think that's kind of open to the board. Just wanted to make sure our 3 board members were caught up and could have their say on anything they needed to, along with any other board discussion that happens with any of those items.
Anyone have any questions?
Well, I have a lot of notes, but I don't wanna do the whole 3-hour thing like we did before, cause I know it's a timely thing.
Okay.
So I'm kinda stuck, cause there are some things that we didn't even get through on that night. And then I went back and checked the revisions and some of them, I have some questions about the revisions, so.
Is that something you can email Adam?
Yeah,
Send it out to us?
I can, I just don't wanna take over and you guys not see what's happening, you know, I don't wanna,
Right.
I want everybody to
Are
be
you good with
involved.
that, her emailing you and then you pass along?
Just share some of them.
Well, then if we don't act on it tonight, are we gonna have time to approve the handbooks to get them printed?
I mean, some of our dates still say 2007 under drug testing, I mean, these are like things that are big.
I was just asking a
No, I
question
know.
if we had time.
I don't know if I will make time, but I don't know if everybody else wants to,
No, I don't think she's talking about that time.
or what.
No,
If we
I
don't-
meant
If we don't do it tonight, we push
if
it
we
to
don't approve
August,
it
we'll have
tonight,
time to present.
Oh,
Are we
I'm
pushing
sorry.
it too far back is my question.
Well, it's just down as a discussion item, so we
Yeah.
really weren't looking for action tonight.
No,
It's-
we have
it's
it
in
in
the
the consent agenda
It's,
for,
yeah, under the consent agenda to approve on.
so
Well-
it's however the board wants to handle it. We are,
So needs assessment and district goals are in the consent agenda.
Just the
no,
handbook.
just the handbooks.
Just the handbooks,
Just the
okay.
handbooks. So yeah, the principals took best stab at the notes and went back to the drawing board on those
rattle
things.
through them. Say yea or nay now and
So it's however you guys, it's how the board wants to handle it. Yes, we do need them approved as soon as possible. How you guys wanna go about that process is. I can't make you comfortable with approving approving them until you.
Well, I know one thing I just wanted to throw out there, because we talked about the driving permit and all that at the high school. What are we gonna have, what is on the form that they're supposed to fill out to drive to school? We talked at length one time about it doesn't need insurance, it doesn't need all that stuff, because if I hit, not me, but if I hit somebody's car in the parking lot, the police are gonna come and get all my information and everything. You know, I see that you need name, tag number, whatever, what is gonna be on that form?
I wasn't instructed to change it, so
Yeah,
it's
that,
not any different.
Okay.
So those things are still on there.
the discussion last time was it was a subject, it was a topic that they wanted more board members present to discuss. So that one in particular was one that we were like, we're not gonna make a decision tonight, it's gonna be later on. So that's why that one wasn't changed.
So is that something the board wants on the agenda for discussion in the future?
We can just discuss it right now, so maybe.
Is the parking lot, I mean, is our parking lot not considered private property or is it public property?
Private.
So the police won't necessarily come out?
They will come. I had a conversation with law enforcement and they said it's private, but it was kind of.
And I had the same question.
Yeah, go ahead, you may
Because
deal with
it's considered private, but it's public.
Yeah.
governed public by
So
public.
that's because I contacted to our SRO, I said, well, if it's private property, you weren't ticketing anybody, because when I got hit in the Tractor Supply parking lot, they just came and took our information, they didn't do anything. She's like, but it's considered public as well, so yes, we'll come ticket and take care of those things.
So if two kids have a wreck in the park, back
She
into each other,
investigates all of it.
then
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
would you say that negates all of it?
She investigates
Yeah,
all of it,
okay,
and
so
does
yeah, they
what,
will come and, okay. Surely.
So just for a little bit of context, for those that weren't here last week or last month, whatever that was, one of the things that I brought up was that I do have concerns about the privacy of the information that's being collected on the parking permit. We're not really doing a parking permit, we have a piece of paper that says, that has information on there like your driver's license number, your your insurance number. I mean, those are things that need to be protected. And so why do we have them on file if we are calling law enforcement to come investigate and they collect those things anyway? So that was my thinking behind that. Everything else that's asked on the form is public. I mean, it's your make, your model, your license plate number. Those are things you can see when you're in the parking lot. But driver's license number, I'm just concerned about where those things are stored, who has access to them. And I'm not saying that there's anything that has happened, but I think that the cons, the risks outweigh the benefits, especially if we're gonna have law enforcement collect that information upon an accident anyway.
My thought is, are law enforcement being called every time? What about, God forbid, something happened and no one's around, so a kid says, okay, I'm gonna leave, but somebody did see it. Then we have, I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
So at least we would have it that way and you would know, I don't know, but again, just devil's advocate thinking.
I mean, and I'm gonna play that also with you, because with your driver's license, I mean, there's not much information on that you just can't go to the internet and find. If you're worried about personal, I mean, you look up.
Driver's license numbers are public?
No, you can find out, what are you gonna get off a driver's license number?
That's something that
What?
you,
What would you get?
Fraud, I used to work in banking,
You have to have a,
yeah. You have access to the school's name, somebody's name, their birth date, you have everything.
Maybe
And now
not
you have the
driver's license.
driver's license number?
No, I'm just saying, maybe not the driver's license number, but you can look
That's
on
what
the
you just
internet.
said though.
Let me explain, but you can find everything else on a driver's license, maybe not the number, but you can find everything else on the internet if you pay enough for it.
I'm concerned
Yeah,
with the
but the
number,
form
because that's
asks
what it's asking, the form's asking for the driver's license number. So that's a piece of information that I'm gonna protect. I've been a victim of fraud myself, identity theft. It is a pain in the rear to have your identity stolen from you.
Okay, so where I'm at with it is, the school collects all the personal data. I mean, they take social security numbers.
That was what I was just asking.
There's ways that the school protects that information, right? I mean, we assume that information will be protected. I don't have a problem with the school collecting it. However, from my past experience, being in a vehicle accident, I called my insurance. The only thing they cared about was the tag number of the car that hit me, and they were able to pull up all the information they needed anyway. So I don't know that it's necessary but I don't have a problem collecting it.
But the collection of other material, other information is stored on the computer. This is a form that is locked behind from the last conversation. It's in the office, and we have people in and out of the office. I'm not saying that things are happening. I don't know, but I'm concerned. I mean, it's a piece of information. I do value privacy, so that's something I do value. So I'm a little passionate about this. Not everybody has to agree. This is where I'm coming from. I think we need to protect our personally identifiable information, and I don't think that the risks outweigh the benefits in this situation. But
So
I'm just one of,
Are you going to leave the insurance off of a form or the driver's license number?
I'm more passionate about leaving the driver's license number off if I don't know that the insurance I could probably be okay with, but the driver's license number, I don't even think we need those two items on there because they're collected when law enforcement comes to investigate the crime or the accident.
So just name, tag number, what else would it be? I don't remember seeing.
Make, model, license plate number, color, those types of things.
Have you ever had to pull those out to show?
Yeah, give them to Leslie for something when she was trying to identify that information. But she can check it on the other things as well.
So we would go with Leslie and see if she prefers, if we could pull those off, she can know what she needs to do and just come back with us next month on that. At least she's an officer and we actually know, get the right answer out of it, rather than us all assume it.
Is the form in the handbook?
It just says that they must sign it.
But there's not a copy of the form? 'Cause
No, it's not.
Okay, because if there's not a copy of the form, then you can still say you can sign it, but it just won't be,
It doesn't
it
give
would
a
just be
detailed
different than we're
information
thinking
on
right
it.
now, if we choose to.
It just says they have to sign it.
Everybody drives now.
And the requirements in valid driver's license. That they adhere to.
And if she doesn't need that on there, then we just put a
Yeah.
checkbox that they check they have a valid driver's license and put no
Yeah.
for anything, just check it off that it's valid.
Sounds good.
Do you agree with that?
I'm sorry, can you recap what you said?
Get
I
with
was-
Leslie and see if she absolutely needs any of that information, and if she doesn't, they can bring it back to the board and then they can just check
Yeah, I'm
off there's
opening to hear what she says. Yeah.
And it wouldn't affect the handbook.
It doesn't.
Because it might have been put on there for some reason, some way back in the,
I mean, I'm open to hearing what she says, but I personally went to law enforcement and asked the question, so, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm open to whatever she says, but I'm not necessarily gonna change my mind on it, well, my opinion.
Okay, we'll bring it back next month.
thanks.
And you don't buy a sticker.
No, there's no purchase.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up.
They get one.
Okay,
They don't buy it.
right.
It almost makes sense to have one though.
They get a sticker, they get.
They do.
They just
Yeah,
don't.
it's
They just don't
right.
buy it,
Right.
okay.
Okay. Now, district goals, we're not finished with those, correct? Because,
That's up for discussion as part of this, and then.
my thought was, you guys presented what you came up with, which I think everybody pretty much agreed, they were pretty nice. But, I have some others to throw out there, but I didn't know when or what.
That's how I am with the handbook, I don't know, I mean, I'm willing to send you what I have, I'm willing to, whatever I can, I just don't wanna take over I don't wanna take over, I want everybody to be involved in it, but I'll realize it's gonna take a lot of time. It's gonna be a
Well,
lot.
but again, we have to approve them tonight, right? I mean, they're in the consent agenda, we have to have them approved so they can get them printed before school starts, cause our next meeting isn't until the week before school, so it's kind of, I mean,
Is there any way we
That's
can
now or
have,
never kind of,
That
right?
would be the preference.
is there any way we could have a special meeting and just, we're all there to finish the goals and stuff? Because I missed the goals meeting a couple years ago and, when the pretty picture, so I don't want anybody left out of goals, and I have some I'd like to go over, but again, it'd be lengthy and
I'm fine.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, cause what's the timeline, August for the goals?
I was going to have them up for action next month.
Action
at the,
next
at
month,
the,
so we have to
at the
have
August
something
meeting.
in
So if we
between
can meet
now
between
and
now
then.
and the next
Yeah.
meeting for,
I'm good with that.
obviously I'm not good with it, but
Let's set up a special meeting.
I can do that.
but I don't wanna get there and everybody's just like, okay, what, does everybody kind of agree that it might be a nice thing or?
I agree,
Cause,
cause we talked about that before, we
and
talked
then we
about,
weren't all here,
Yeah.
and so we could all get a clear view and then share if we have anything to add to it.
Could I get, since everybody's, to save some legwork of 7 phone calls, could I get dates while you're all sitting here?
I think I'm pretty free.
Well, I can do it 2 weeks, I mean, what's your availability, Adam, you wanna do it in 2 weeks?
The 22nd, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think the 22nd would work for me.
You got something? Okay.
I'm out 21 to 27.
yeah,
Okay, how about 29th?
29th is not good for me.
15.
That's next Monday?
Denver.
I think I'm pretty
Like what?
free.
11, what do you think?
That's
Thursday.
This Thursday?
Mhm.
Sure.
I was going to Carnival, but
I mean.
Oh, that's Week Fest, sorry.
I went that far.
I'm already be a single dad for the week.
Brandon's all for it.
What days are you gone? Bob?
21 to 27.
What days are you gone?
where you going?
I'm in Denver all next week.
Grand Lake, Colorado,
You're in-
all of us.
How about the 29th?
Yeah, the grandkids and all.
What is it, wait, this is this week, right?
Yeah, the 8th.
So it's Denver and then,
That's where he's at.
so.
Can we do something the week of the 29th, or are you going that week?
I'm going
Days
23rd through the 30th, that week.
Dang it.
You said 23rd through the 30th?
Yeah.
Thursday's fine
So
too.
we got
I
Thursday's
don't
not-
know, if it works for the majority, I don't have to be
Can we
there.
do the 1st of August?
You're wanting to print?
Well, we don't have paper right now, so. We have paper we can print, but it's not in yet, so. And we print a kind of smaller version in there, cause, it all doesn't fit, right? So, yeah, so as soon as we have paper, she wants to go to print.
So we could do the handbooks and
No.
we'd have time for, and the goals at the same meeting. And
If there's no
that
time
wouldn't
between
be
now and then.
a
Thursday
problem?
of next week? Is that what you're asking me to be here for that?
No,
No,
yes. No.
August
No.
1st, we're looking to meet to,
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have the 15th through the 19th, we can't do that.
Is everybody busy the 15th through the 19th?
yeah, there's a vacation somewhere. I think you
Who's-
just.
I'm in Denver that week.
She's gone.
Okay. The 20th, and on the 20th, how about the 20th, the 21st?
That's Saturday and Sunday.
You're leaving the 21st.
I'm really enjoying it.
JJ, how much time do you need to print the handbooks?
She's got a portion of it already printed that is all that, so she probably needs, I would say she can probably get it all printed on the machine and she probably needs a whole week. She's gotta bind them and all that as well.
Machine.
She has a portion printed, so if
Yeah, she has a portion of it printed, the other portion is the handbook portion.
Oh, the planner.
So what she has printed, we're not gonna make a change on, correct?
No, you're not, no,
Okay.
it's all
That's what I was trying to get at, there's a lot of wasted paper.
passes, all those things, no,
That's why we don't
So-
that's all the stuff you don't
The
approve.
August date we talked about could work, because if you need a week.
So August 1st.
August 1st.
Yeah, if you're having it done by then, I can't meet that day, I have hair in Caldwell.
I was like, kind of weird.
Yeah, I can't be there.
So-
I
What about
can take care of it.
the next day?
Well, August 1st, if we approve it, then how long does it take for them to update it?
I go in and update it on the Monday, right,
Okay.
the first is a Thursday, is that right, or a
Yep.
Friday? What day is it?
That's
Thursday. It's a Thursday.
So I wouldn't be able to update it to the next Monday, cause I'll be at the fair,
Is that enough
showing
time?
goats and all those things. I can make time to get it done.
Okay.
Is everyone available the 1st?
What time?
Can we do 6? Sure. 5:30, I don't care. How we work.
5:30 is good. I don't care, I don't care.
What's, what was our one? 6 work?
Try it.
Okay.
My recommendation would be get your comments to Adam so we can make this as concise as possible.
Yeah, I have them
We're
all
obviously very busy
documented.
people and we need to make the most of these times.
Yes, if you'd send your,
I've
if you
got
don't
it, yeah.
mind. Okay. And
They're
then
all-
Adam, you can probably maybe work on it and hopefully maybe get to JJ and the principals and come back with it and then we can look at it again and that might just make it go a little quicker.
So let me clarify so I understand. The changes that she's gonna send, do you all have to see those or do I need to
Yeah,
make them in the
That's
book?
part of the problem.
We gotta see.
Sarah,
them to
Sarah,
see them.
yeah, Sarah just sending me stuff without you guys sending them is kinda,
So Sarah needs to send it to you so you can send it to us.
I could do that.
That's what I'm.
That's what I was kinda getting at.
I could do
Red
that, I'm
line.
sorry, yes, I
A
could
red
do
line
that,
document.
yes.
So then that could maybe happen soon.
So send
Yes.
it to you by the time we have our meeting,
Or
As soon
just
as possible,
As
so
soon
that,
as possible.
so that we have more time
And
to,
then I can send it out to you guys,
okay.
but I'm not
I
gonna put anything into,
And so we're not picking on Sarah. Everybody sends stuff to Adam.
yes,
And we'll redline it the way we need to.
yes.
Okay.
I'll send it out to you guys and then, but I'm probably not gonna do editing until I hear from you, cause it's gonna be pointless, so. And I don't wanna put principals back through the whole editing
Right.
process.
So are we still gonna have a meeting for goals?
well, that was gonna be goals and handbook.
Right,
Mhm.
so just for goals possibly, or,
I think
it's
we do
goals
all
and
of it.
handbook.
okay.
That's all.
August 1st, 6:00, special meeting. And we will wanna do a special meeting so you can vote, so.
Right, pool, we could do it poolside, but I don't pool.
I do have questions on the building needs assessment, cause that's what we're still in that topic, right, on the agenda, we're talking about
Yes.
building needs assessments, okay.
You don't want me to speed up.
On the building needs assessment that we were presented last
Well,
week,
the story.
or I keep saying last week,
Last month.
last month, these,
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not seeing, in our board packets that we were given this month, there is a document in there, an Excel document, that is completely, it's called building needs assessment, it is completely different than what's on this.
Oh,
I saw that.
So the information that was presented in this, it does not match.
Okay, I'll look into that, I don't know what happened.
There are, this is generic information. In my opinion, this is not helpful for me to be able to say, oh yeah, the purpose of a building needs is to, take budget considerations, transfer here to there based on the needs. This was not helpful at all. Now, however, the document that was in our board packet was not like this, and it had way more useful information.
Okay.
I think that Jen started to go over this document, she had it up there.
Okay,
She started going over it, but we got to the state assessment data and then we had questions and we kind of put it on hold.
okay.
I think that's why.
Okay, I'll check into that.
We're gonna wait till Chad figured it all out.
When people are okay, maybe Chad, maybe you know this. What is the process for the building needs assessments? Because I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure out how we go from what the raw data that's on that spreadsheet that
Sure.
doesn't match this to something that's very templated, predictable, like generic. So are the principals filling that raw data out and then it's going through admin and they're revising? Cause there are lots of changes and revisions on this that was not on the document that was shared with us.
So I know that in some places, and in my situation too, there was some information from a service center that was sent out that we could use to help streamline some of that information so that if we saw trends that were happening between the buildings, so that it would look similar for the district, if that makes sense. So if this was happening at Lincoln and Washington and Eisenhower and Kennedy, that when it was all pulled together, it would look like something for the district, if that makes sense. So when because you could go through it, it was almost like a fillable form type. So it's taking all of that information from that longer, all of that tab sheet that you referenced, and then looking for patterns and then using that fillable form.
So these are pre-templated things
From
the state, right?
from the
From
state?
the service.
From the service center,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
It does, but I still think that information that we have on this tab is so valuable. I mean, it's the actual real life stuff. It's not this templated information, So anyway, I didn't know who was modifying the building needs assessment, so. Because they were, you know, for example, like with Lincoln, that I can think of, there were, Washington, Eisenhower, I think this is Lincoln. Like, on the sheet that we were showed, or on the tab, there weren't this many on here, like there were additions to it as well.
I see.
You know, so it wasn't like a general translation, it wasn't like, they said, you know, this, and then we equated it to this answer, it was additions to, it wasn't right on the raw data. So, I don't know who's doing that.
And that would be, I mean, we'd have to figure
Okay.
that part out.
Do we get more funding if we have more issues, or, like, I'm trying to figure out why.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, there would be growing issues
Okay.
by the moment.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
No,
it would be lots more pages.
Okay, I just wanna know, like, you know, I just wanted to know why it was different, why there were additions when it wasn't on the document that was shared today, and what the process was for getting the information in there in the first place, because it wasn't matching up.
Yeah, for us, you know, at my building, so that's the only context that I have. We did the spreadsheet that you saw, the tab
Yeah.
sheet, we did that first, and then we went and we filled out the fillable thing, which went to the district.
Mhm.
So they had access to both
Okay.
of those things, so we did do both, just like was done here.
Mhm.
And so they may look a little bit different,
Mhm.
because you know, maybe there was something on that fillable form that we didn't think about when we were just brainstorming things at the table, when we were going through that process, if that makes sense.
And getting this is fine, I don't think that document was created till July 3rd on that spreadsheet. When I looked at the activity, it said it was created by Jen on July 3rd. So I don't know if it was moved, if it was copied, but we didn't have access to that information at the time until, from what I could see, July 3rd. So having access to the information is fine. If you wanna give us this, it's fine, as long as we can access the other information, the raw, you know, the templates, the tabs. But I just think it's important to know that this is not the full story, you know, full story is in those tabs that we didn't have access to.
Just as an example, Tara, like the needs that you found for the 2 special education positions, that would be something that would go on a building needs assessment, correct?
I haven't seen it this year, so I'm not sure what's on it yet.
But it's
Yes.
something similar to, that would be
Yes.
something that you would notice
Right.
that your building needs, and we'd like to get that into the budget because the need for those elementary schools is that position.
Yes.
So that would be a good thing to see. That's just an example.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on that?
Plan for a special meeting on August 1st.
August 1st, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We will get that out there.
Next up, 2.8 lunch prices.
Yes, lunch prices was added, so discussion regarding that.
Okay, so that was my request. I created a spreadsheet that I like to pass out. And I have extras for people. Okay, I'm gonna end it, put it over here, anybody else? So double check prices, don't count on me, I'm not an expert on Excel spreadsheets, but I tried. And if anybody in, that's fine. Okay, so the thing that brought my attention was previously in the past, we had voted on, was it back in February, Kelly, or January, the food services contract?
Is that one?
Probably February,
And I didn't understand really what that was, so I emailed Kelly and I was like, hey Kelly, I'm not understanding why we're voting on this information, so can you break it down? And he was awesome at giving the information. So from my recollection, Kelly had said that we and correct me if I'm wrong, we vote on the food services contract every year because we have a 5-year contract. And then we had already raised, can you talk about how we raised the food prices, or the 4%, can you talk about that process?
That's just a yearly deal that
Okay.
through the food service management company that we have to negotiate with them on a yearly basis. And that is, like I said, annual, and so it was 4.0 was the percentage that was increased, and they could have gone up to almost what was it,
Over 6, I think.
4.6 or something like that.
Okay.
So that Darcy Ann had to negotiate with them, and that's what they settled on. So that's how, whatever the price last year, they could increase it 4% is what was negotiated.
Okay,
So then we have to take that now and look at the prices to see how we are gonna adjust our prices, and I'm sure.
okay, and then
Yeah, I can answer
you got a
that.
tool from the state
Correct.
that said, hey, price equity tool, put this information in, all the districts got it, right?
Uh-huh.
And they were
Everybody has
like,
access to it.
yeah, they were like, put this in and this is what we anticipate the increase, or we
Right.
would recommend the price increase to be, right?
Correct.
Okay, and Kelly had said that the price kickback is increasing at 50 or 80 cents.
80.
But then they were like, no, let's settle on 50. So then I took the districts, and to me, the 50-cent increase per school, per lunch was
Way too much.
insane. Yeah. So,
Oh, and trust me, we totally agree
Yeah.
with that too.
so,
This isn't something that Darcy and I just sit there and say,
Right.
this is what
Yeah.
we're doing.
and I wanna be clear, I'm not
This is
saying
a
that you are.
process that
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
to get through.
Yeah,
Through
and you've
with
been
not only that
helpful.
USDA and KSD.
Right, and to be clear, I'm not blaming anybody here, I'm
That's
just,
fine.
yeah. You've been very helpful in the explaining things to me, so I appreciate that. So I just took the districts that we consider our comparable districts, right? Winfield, Rhinewood, Clearwater, Circle, El Dorado, Mulvane, Rose Hill, Augusta, and then Wellington. And I just, was able to access some data of 2023 elementary, or 2023-24 prices, and I compared them to the ones that were on the website from the state for this year's increases, because they already have them on there. And so I just made this spreadsheet, and as you can see, our increases are insanely higher than our competitive districts. So on row number 11, for example, that's our average percentages, not including Wellington's increases. And so our competitive districts are an averaging for elementary percentage 2.94, and we increased almost 18%. So the one thing that I did see that we were maybe different was that our adult lunch prices were relatively low. So I just wanted to bring this to the board to see if there were, to see what your thoughts were, to see if we can come up with something that would not increase this on our paid families.
Just why would that be? Why would they not have to?
Well, you have a lot of different factors on free, reduce, paid.
No, absolutely, I get that.
And each district can have completely different demographic wise.
But that's why I chose
On
the
that.
comparable districts.
Right, but I'm
Yeah.
saying you still, I don't know how many of these people have a food service that they do in-house, that's gonna affect it too. There's a lot of other data that probably needs to be looked at to
They're
just
free,
compare.
the number of free students.
Yeah,
they have
like
in
I
their
did, I
district
looked
as
at that
well.
today and like Renwick was like, well, actually, when you go to the state's website, the latest information I could find under Data Central was like 2019. And so it's like, how am I supposed to compare? And Renwick was like, I feel like it was low, it was like 20%.
Theirs is extremely.
Yeah, and ours was, the latest information I could obtain was like 57%, and that was 2018, 2019. So I know that there are variables, but I still feel like this is a big percentage change, and I worry about our families that I mean, so if you took 168 times 50 cents, that's what, $82 a year per child increase just from last year for one child in the family?
So I guess the question is, like, if you get down to the nitty gritty, is a 50-cent increase necessary? Like, what is that gonna do to our budget? What is that gonna do to our food service? Where is that going? So we know, do we have to do 50 cents? Is that,
What happens if we do less?
Then we'd have to supplement it through what we have left over, so that could affect if we have a major breakdown, that we wouldn't be able to get that fixed through the food service. Like, let's say one of our walk-in freezers, goes down, then we'd have to cover that, and so it'll deplete it some, but we're supposed to keep at least 3 months of profit in there as well, so to be able to cover that. We just used the tool that KSDE
Yeah.
sent us,
Right,
and
right,
it is called
yeah.
paid equity, so it's supposed to, we used 6 months worth our data from last year, and we plugged in all those numbers, and that's how it fed out the number.
gotcha.
And we were totally shocked too, we were like, wow.
Well, and
And-
then the state at our budget meeting saying, hey, in the past, there's been a lot of extra federal funds that has been paying for your free and reduced kiddos.
Right.
That have been helping all the districts cover some of that by having lower meal prices, but now those are going away. So don't plan on having as much federal funds coming from that.
But didn't that end in 2023, like September 2020, or?
This was our budget meeting, what, last Monday?
And I think they extended it until, didn't we read something on that? They extended it one more year or something like that, or I remember reading something on that.
Yeah, we were
I
just
thought
told
it was
that that's
already
going
over.
away.
So what kind of reserves do we have?
I don't have that information.
Well, we don't know what food service they're using also. I
Right,
mean, we
I'm
remember
just trying to-
OPA.
I don't even care what
mean, they-
anybody else is doing, I'm just saying,
Right,
I
but I
would be
mean,
willing to pay
that
this
could
50
affect it,
cents.
OPA could be cheaper, but the problem is we saw what OPA's food was and it was not
Well, it's
good.
not-
I mean, and I'm not trying to diss them, but they did a presentation, it was.
Yeah, they were good, and, yeah, everybody's coming.
Started out good.
Yeah, they started out good, and I'm sure that we'll see
And
probably
we
the
can,
same
and I know
thing
it
here.
sucks to have an increase, but look how people are buying lunch now, I mean, it does suck.
Yeah, I mean, how much, I still think 50 cents, no matter what, is too much of an increase. I just, if there's any way, I mean,
I'm really surprised none of these other ones have moved up, especially the prices of
I mean,
groceries.
Winfield has to have the
That's what I
same
was
free
Did you
reduced lunches.
find in the board
Winfield's as poor as
minutes
we are, or poor.
the prices?
No, I'm thinking our
So the
city
new
actually.
minutes are posted online at the
Yeah, 'cause I was
Kansas
doing the
Department.
same thing, and some of them I
KSDE.
couldn't find in there, their
Yeah.
prices.
Yeah,
I didn't know
and
if that was the
so-
2022 or 2023, 24 year, or if it was actually.
yeah, so you can find them all the way the furthest I went back was, I have another sheet of 2022, 2023, so I was trying to see like where we were, other than just this year, right? So I was able to find that, and then 2023, 24 is on there, and this is coming from the Department of Education, so this is I put the information that I had access to, so I'm not saying I called each of these schools individually, I can't verify that, but they had our updated prices already, so I don't know how they knew that.
We have to get, it
Yeah,
has to
some
get
of them
approved
voted
by
on.
the state before we offer it to you
Okay.
guys, they have to say yes.
Are we not raising the cities, I mean, the adults' price?
Yeah, we raised it,
No, the zero.
So zero.
Our board agenda, lunch prices, consent agenda has 415.
15.
Well, not, that's not an increase.
But on the states though, it
It's-
said
it should-
460.
Right, because we're getting charged $4.26 from OPA, so we have to cover that.
Yeah, on our consent agenda, this is 415. So I didn't plug that information's not accurate on the sheet, cause I was only aware of
And that,
415.
yeah, that needs to be raised then, because we have to cover that $4.26.
And so, do you recall the number that you submitted? I think I saw 460 on this.
460 is correct. But it's your guys' decision what
Right,
you wanna do.
yeah.
I mean, that's just, we're just providing what
Right.
we plugged in.
And I appreciate that.
But you have an idea how much we have in, what do you call it, savings or plus column?
You deal with the excess cost that
But I haven't seen
you
it.
haven't seen it yet for the,
I mean, how much we have, do we carry over food service money? Or is it something?
yes, but they have a whole where it's broke out, where it belongs and everything through his report he does with Lynette.
I don't see that.
You'll have to look at that.
And if we have any extras, that pay off past due balances. I mean,
You cannot use
cannot
that
use
to
it for
use,
that.
pay off extra balances.
What happens to them? Well, there shouldn't be that many, right, because they stop eating.
And I meant to ask the food service people this, but I didn't get over to the high school today, but I don't know, do you get more food at the high school that you do at the middle school than you do it at the elementary? Does anybody know?
portion wise?
Portion wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do,
Yeah.
okay. But an adult lunch and a high school lunch, you're not getting different food.
No, we just have to cover
Okay.
that for 26, which
Okay,
we do, and USDA has not released the reimbursement
Mm-hmm.
rates yet until mid-July, which makes it difficult for every district to try to set their prices. So that's why we have to do that. We, even on our paid kiddos that pay, we do get a little bit of reimbursement from the feds. And so where we set our prices, and we looked at last year's, we might get, 20 some cents or something from vets, even for our paid kiddos as well.
Well, if nobody else thinks we need to lower them a little bit.
No, I definitely think we need to lower it.
You what?
I said, I definitely think we need to lower it.
We would,
I do
Fifty
too.
cents
we would
is
like
way
that.
too much.
We
I
would-
It's way
just don't
too
know what
much.
the solution.
I would just have to
Yeah,
send it
that's
back
where
to
I'm at.
ASDE, whatever you guys decide, and get their
And then we'd
approval on
also, if we go through all of your, if we deplete your excess funds, then we have to fund it through general.
I don't think we wanna deplete the fund, I mean, we're gonna have an increase, everything's increased unfortunately. Is there something that you can come back with us when we can look at some, a special meeting anyways? I mean,
Yeah, what, is the information coming gonna help, or are you gonna, is
I'd
the,
help out a lot.
is the price,
we're gonna be there.
can the price be decided on August first and still fit all the time?
It should be.
Okay, so you wanna push it
I
off?
I would just have to get
Yeah.
Cassidy's approval, send that off to them, and
Can
then we
you
have to make some changes in the system.
Can you explain to me though, if we talk about raising food costs, and I agree, that's a thing, but is that not what the 4% that we negotiated the raise with the contract, I mean, does that not cover?
That's what they're gonna charge.
That's what we're paying
That's
them,
their
that's what
cost.
we're paying the food service, and
Okay.
so,
That's what
Chartwell's got a
Chartwell's
4%
gonna charge
Chartwell,
us,
thank you.
is that
Okay.
extra 4% of what it was last year.
Yeah, and I'd like to know, I mean, what do we have in our surplus fund?
Well, what can we do to, we're gonna have an increase, but if we
Yeah.
can do even half,
Yeah,
we'll
well,
deplete it,
I mean, we could look at some different numbers, and I can send that off to our consultant through
And
KSD.
some of our expenses would be like you said, a walk-in freezer, a stove,
We own all the equipment, all the
Lunch
tools,
trays,
yeah.
everything
Okay.
is ours.
I think what kind of hurt us was we didn't have a price increase last year.
Right, playing catch up.
And so I thought we were playing catch up, but then when I put the stuff in, I was like, oh, we're still ahead,
But
so,
our, and they had given us an advice that last year that the reimbursement rates were going to, still be there pretty high. So it's very difficult at this time to make that decision when we don't have our reimbursement rates yet.
good, let's see what we can do.
We can bring something back.
thank you, Kelly.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
alright. First action item, community center lease.
Yes, probably should have said agreement instead of lease there, but, so Jeff and Larry are here this evening, they've been very patiently waiting for this agenda item, so I appreciate you guys. Since it was set up in action, last Tuesday, the board met with the city council to discuss the project and make some general decisions. And then what happened after that is Mr. Porter got with the city's attorney, drew up the agreement that is in your packets, which got finalized at the end of the week. I wanted to make sure that our attorney got a chance to review that as well. I did use our local attorney for that, and so sent that to him on Friday, and obviously that's not a big turnaround time since you guys just met with him last Tuesday. And so I know he just sent you some opinions on the document right before the meeting started, and so you haven't had a lot of time to spend on that or review that, and so it's been kind of a quick week with all that. So this was originally set up for an action item to approve that cost share agreement. And so it's out there for discussion. I know there were also some financial discussions that board members were bringing up, and so Larry is here this evening to discuss any of that with the board. So,
Well, not knowing that we had 2.2 million in capital outlay, I guess that's the right term. No, not spending outlay. Okay, well, it's called, what's the contingency fund?
for contingency.
What's that? Capital outlay is for contingency.
No, capital outlay is for capital projects.
That's the nest egg for a rainy day.
Contingency is. Okay, that's
Contingency
what I
is,
thought.
yeah,
So what do we have in our contingency fund?
last I knew was 1.5.
So we have 1.5 in that and 2.2 in capital outlay.
That's correct.
Okay, which,
They say to have at least, is it 3 months worth of payroll in a contingency and to
Okay.
keep it about that. So
what
that
did we use for the roofing projects at the high school.
For the, you mean
For
the
the
interior wall, the
$1
big
million
one, that was capital outlay.
That was capital outlay, okay. It just seems like we would have some money to put down on this instead of paying the interest on our half with that kind of money. And I know we need it for other things as well, but I'm just not happy with this, to be honest. I mean, it's a community center project. No, it's not a community center, it's a locker room. And it's not much of a locker room, it's more of a community center. That just bothers me, for the record. The locker rooms don't have offices for the coaches, like was asked and asked and asked. There might be a storage room, it's not gonna be done in time for this year. I just wonder what kind of locker rooms could we get by ourselves, I'm just saying it. There. Sorry.
Well, go ahead.
So back in February, Irma sent an email to Adam and the rest of the board about several grants that could potentially be given for this project and encouraged us to work with Sumner County Economic Development to help with writing the grants. What action has been taken, if any, on that?
No action has been taken on that.
Okay,
That's dropping the ball.
why not?
But we did not look into that, I do not have an excuse for that.
What's the history of our capital outlay funds, and how much are we accumulating on a yearly basis? From what I could tell, online was like 1.8 last year to now 2.4.
Our beginning was 2 million after audit. 2.24.
So do you have a history of how much we're accumulating on a yearly basis?
I do not have that off the top of my head now.
When we did the drainage problem at the high school, what was our capital, what did we start with in capital outlay and what did we end with?
When did that? Do you know? I wasn't
I don't
here
know,
for
4
any
years
of
ago,
that.
5 years ago,
At least.
probably 5 years ago. And we just-
Larry was on the board still, so.
It was just $1 million.
How many years ago was that?
I know that I don't remember what capital outlay was at, I know that the goal was to end capital outlay with $1 million left in there after it was over.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
was
I
thinking,
remember.
I was thinking there's like 2 because it was always said the project was $1 million
It was.
and then that left.
That sounds right then, that
The $1 million
makes
left.
sense, yeah.
Obviously, I've got my funds mixed up after 20 years of doing this.
So,
It's just-
I did think of some other things that are gonna come out of capital outlay that are tied to that project. You're gonna have your parking lot, which I think we've
Yeah.
talked about.
We
We're
got
gonna
talked
have
about
to
parking
redo
lot?
the parking
Oh, the
lot
high
out there. No, at
The-
Lionel Junior High.
the
Okay,
tennis
that-
courts, that area. It's
that
gonna
hasn't
need to
been
be.
discussed. actually.
Correct, and that's why I was thinking
Yeah.
that would be something that would more come out of cap outlay or something that we would need. Some of the however they decide to furnish that building,
Sure.
there's gonna be some of that there too. And then Kelly and I were just talking about today, some of our vehicles, we will always use that to try to update vehicles.
We should be pretty good on vehicles right now.
We need to keep a rotation going.
Yeah.
Some of them we need to start
Yeah.
looking at retiring, like the Suburbans are
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
getting pretty, getting
So
a lot of miles on them and.
That's my only thing is just to think of, and then some of your other projects, if the bond passes, if the bond
It's not
doesn't
gonna
pass. That's a lot of
Yeah.
projects that
I'm
we've
just- we
found
have
that
waited.
need to be done too.
9 years for locker rooms. And now, I don't even know if we have locker rooms. We have a big community center. and
Yeah, but you have rooms, they just don't have lockers.
They don't have a coach's office. They just, what are they? It's an empty, it's a square room is all it is.
That's all we wanted to have. I mean,
No, it's
honestly,
not.
get out
Did you
the
talk to the
elements.
coach? Did you talk to the coach, Brandon? Did anybody talk?
He's
to
never
the
come to
coach?
talk to us, and I've talked to him several times.
So my concern is, talking about capital outlay is, I mean, yes, we did a lot, we did $1 million worth of work at the high school roof, but I believe we still have a membrane that is leaking on that roof. Yeah, we haven't had any rain, so yeah, it's not leaking, but rains are coming. And it's gonna start leaking again. We have an asset there, we have a duty as a board to maintain those assets. And we're talking $1 million back then. That's probably $1.5 million now, and that's probably being conservative. I went out and drove the parking lot of the high school, atrocious. There's
From the
tracks.
city streets,
That's not our tax burden.
I know.
That parking lot is our tax burden. And the cracks in the parking lot are terrible. We have to do crack fill on it, or we might as well just tear it out and go dirt, gravel. The parking lot, somebody mentioned the parking lot down at Old Junior High. No, that's not on our radar, but you put a brand new locker room, community building next to it, and it will be on our radar, because everybody will be coming to us saying, we gotta have that parking lot replaced. So there's just more to it. The whole agreement between the city and the school district as far as who's gonna fund the furniture, I didn't even think about that, the furniture.
It was thrown out there in the meeting.
Who's gonna clean up after the football games, who's gonna clean up after the family reunion. It's a rentable space. I've heard multiple people on the board say, well, we'll be able to rent it and make income. That income's going back to debt service, and that income is on the city side of the thing, because the city's gonna own the building, the city's gonna be paying the
Well,
insurance on
that's
the
something
building.
that,
The city's gonna be paying everything on the building. The
But
city's
the
gonna be
city's
paying the
gonna be-
utilities on the building.
it's not gonna be 50-50.
I would assume it's a city-owned building.
That's just it, there's all those questions, no, it's not, it's
It
not.
absolutely
It's
is.
just a city, it's just gonna be a city-owned building.
It has to be. They're bonding it, or they're paying for it.
It is, and that's why we
They're
have a lease
financing it.
agreement.
If you guys finance it as an asset with a bond issue, you have to go to a public vote,
We don't need a
which is
bond
part of the
issue.
reason that we have done that.
I know, and I agree, I apologize to you, because it's not you. We could do this with just capital outlay.
My
You don't wanna
concern
deplete
with
that, though.
depleting capital outlay is we are talking about a bond issue for spring 2025. I think that our world, no matter the outcome of November, it's gonna be very volatile, and I don't want to put all of our issues in one bond basket, because I don't have a whole lot of confidence
I don't either.
So
that we can get it
Or,
fixed.
yeah, well, and then
So I'm
something goes
afraid to
down.
deplete it and then need a new roof, and then HVACs go out again, and all that, and then we need money. That's a concern.
So financing, it was, prior to last Tuesday about how we're gonna finance and fund this, right? Wasn't on my radar. So I just wanna clear up a little bit about how the bond thing is gonna work. So the city's gonna take the whole amount,
Yep.
right? And we had talked about at the last meeting, 1 mil, right, for the city side. So if you're only talking about the city side, it has to be 2 mils.
No,
So how is that
the
gonna work?
mill is how they are going to pay their half, so think of it separate, you've gotta kinda compartmentalize it. The bond is how we're gonna pay for the overall project, the city is going to have 1 mil to pay their half. We have
To decide.
a capital outlay, we have the money to pay our half.
So the reason we would use a lease agreement is that the lease agreement would basically set up that over the term of the 15 years, you would make an annual payment that equaled half of the annual debt service. Debt service is gonna go up and down a little bit annually based on the projections that Larry worked up that were presented to you at the work session the other night, but that's just kind of how municipal bonds function. It's very rare you get a steady rate over the whole thing, but that's why the comment was made, the city will own the building, because the city has to own the building. And to cover your portion of participation, that's why we would enter into a lease agreement. That is a legally acceptable mechanism for which you can help pay for an asset that is covered by debt that does not require a public vote.
So,
The interlocal statute, is that the one we're using?
Doesn't need to be an interlocal agreement. There are other communities where the school district and the city have entered into lease agreements under the Public Building Commission, or we have a Charter Ordinance 32, which allows the city to make improvements and to seek payment of the debt service through various means.
so the city pays the insurance, the city pays utilities. The city has all the extra costs, we're just paying part of the building.
I mean, if you guys wanna tailor the
No,
agreement to
I
sharing
just-
those costs, I'm not objecting to it, but at the end of the day,
Well,
because
it's never been discussed, and I just
Yeah,
thought it was
there's no,
50-50.
there's no
So-
operating agreement, I mean, this is all just speculation, we don't know, so.
as was presented in the original draft of the agreement that was forwarded to you, this is envisioned as one of several agreements that would be made in the course of construction and operating the building.
Do we know how much money we would save if we did the all one lump payment for our portion of it? Do we know what we would be?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you wanted to provide like $500,000, pay your half, and then it would just be a $500,000 bond that the city would owe debt on.
Yes.
So that would be one option.
It'd be like front load the loan, basically. You're gonna pay
Well-
a bunch of that interest up front.
I mean, you wouldn't have any interest, so I'm envisioning your
Right.
thought here. I mean, you would just hand over the cash to pay half of the project costs now, and the city, if they wanna bond finance their half, we would issue the bond at half the amount, $500,000 for the city's portion.
But then if something goes down, we're screwed.
I see where you're coming from. It's not gonna change our tax burden. It would save us on
I mean,
interest.
it would
Interest is the
directly,
only place
it
we're
would save the
saving.
tax burden on the city side, right?
No,
It wouldn't,
there's still one
This,
mill.
this is an unbudgeted expense for the city.
okay.
I have to come up with the money somehow. If you wanna look at the general fund, we have about $11.1 million in general fund expenses with $2.16 million in tax dollars to fund it. The rest of it comes from sales tax, fees, and Rob and Peter pay Paul through taking money out of the funds that Jason oversees, basically to cover shared overhead like human resources and mail-in utility bills and things like that. So the simple fact of the matter is, if you're wanting the city to look at funding $50,000, $100,000 out of thin air, I just don't have room to do that at only having $2.1 million in tax base. So yeah, there's gonna be some kind of tax impact to that.
So my thoughts, and I'm glad Jeff and everybody's here tonight to help answer some of these questions, but I don't know that we're in a rush on this. Now, I did take the opportunity to talk to Jeff a little bit today about this, as far as, those bids aren't gonna be good forever, and that's a very valid point. We have bids that we received, and, they may or may not honor those if we kick the can too far down the road here. But to me, I'm hearing a lot of questions, and then we got a pretty pointed question via email from our legal counsel that I think may put a little pause to me making a vote on this tonight. I wonder if we can get some of those questions kind of shored up or answered a little bit better, so we can get a little bit more level of comfort up here. My concern is the delay and what that does to both sides of the equation, the city and the school side, and then those bids ultimately, whether they're gonna honor those bids long-term, so we don't have to revisit all that piece of it. We're not gonna hit this year's football season regardless.
December.
Yeah. So I don't know that the timeline's real tight there. It's just, I don't know about those other pieces of the puzzle,
Bids.
if that affects it or not, so.
So just so everyone knows, generally speaking, and on this one, as always, they gave us 30 days for validity of the bid. We may be able to get another 10 to 15 days, maybe. But at the same time, this is kind of a fall-winter project for any of these firms that bid, so they're gonna wanna lock this up to keep them busy for the winter. So we're not gonna get more than maybe 10 or 15 days. Bids were returned to the city on, July 6th. And after review by the design team and all that fun stuff to make sure that everything was in there and that the numbers were calculated correctly, taking it to the council, last week was the first opportunity after bid closure, so. We can buy a little bit of time, but I don't think we're gonna buy a lot.
So you said July 6th or did you mean June 6th?
June 6th is when they came in.
June 6th is when they came in. So we're already at,
So we're
30.
kind of, we're at the raggedy edge already. Most of them will give you a
so
little
even
bit.
pushing to the 1st, to our next meeting is pushing it
For sure.
And then what, we reopen it for bid?
I mean, we can't.
We
really
probably need
can't.
to at that point.
What council said.
Right.
So unless we can move that meeting, that special meeting.
Well, I think you're right though, Jay, that his email, and I just read it on the way to town. So it had some things in it that I think we need to question or ask, get better answers to.
I feel the same way. I couldn't vote on this
Right about that,
tonight
Rick.
based on the information.
So since I wasn't privy to that, is there any way I can get information on that?
I would hope so.
Who's got tonight?
It was just like,
And
I think
the other piece of it that I mean, you guys have heard me speak about this before, but I am concerned about the other pieces of this puzzle. The parking lot behind the junior high. I mean, I know that that's gonna be the next ask. And then we do have the roof out the high school. I know you're tired of me hearing that or saying that, but it is legit. And the parking lot out at the high school. And then, you know, I do still have concerns about we're looking at putting this facility on the other side of the little creek with a bridge that we cross over that we know is not ADA. So what happens when you got that kid that needs assistance to cross that bridge or can't make it across that bridge? The whole parking area down there around the football field is not ADA. We need to be addressing that stuff. We need to be looking at that stuff. So there's more dollars that are gonna come to this besides just the locker room. And then follow that up, we gotta do a press box at the track, we gotta do bleachers at the track, we gotta do restroom at the track, and we gotta do, there's something else at the track, concession at the track. That is all following this. So ching, 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 ching. So I want everybody to make sure they're aware of that.
and I just thought after that survey that we did, that the locker rooms was gonna be the next priority.
My personal opinion, I don't think people had the information in front of them to make an informed decision on the survey. I
Well,
think
we
if
had
they would
that
have
gal,
more information.
that gal that came, she had a PhD, and she told us
I
how smart
agree,
she
but
was, and she
everybody I've talked to said they knew nothing about the additions at the track as far as the press box, the bleachers,
I know.
and the restrooms, and they didn't know anything about those expenses coming.
No,
And they are coming. We have to address those.
I think we have no choice but to table it. I mean, just based off of what,
Get those questions answered.
Jeff, you think there's any way you can push them out till the 2nd?
I can reach out, but
No
we'll see.
promises?
No promises.
Yeah, if not, we'll just have to get back together and make a choice.
Get Sean more.
I know in the past, we had talked about putting a tracker on our website.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that ever went up. What kind?
Tracker.
Yeah,
Like
like
a thermometer,
price,
you know, to see how much-
thermometer.
At this point, we're still waiting for our approval of our ADA compliance audit
Okay,
before we can make any major changes on the website.
okay.
Have we reached out, I mean, for funds, for free money, for donations, I mean, like.
Yeah, we did from the
We've got
beginning.
some.
That's why we got $40,000.
Well, I know, but I mean like to businesses, as BNSF, to these other places, like, cause I know in the very beginning, when it was that picture I just showed that one night, there were businesses that were willing to possibly donate. And there was talk about, well, would you name the building GEC, or, there was that kind of discussion. I mean, have we reached out to those places?
That we put out the social media campaign for that when this first came up in committee, this was a project that was planned to be funded by tax dollars, as is being set together right now. At that point, there were people who came to the committee that were saying, we would really like to donate to this or whatever. So when we had people coming to do that, we threw it out as a donation drive if anybody wants to donate. It was never a fundraiser, as in we're not gonna do it unless you put in this amount of money. It was to bring in any donations to those people who were throwing out.
So was there publicity, like in the news cow and the Daily News, about the fund drive or whatever you just called it?
It was everywhere, Russ put it up.
I sent it to the newspaper and News Cal, yeah. I can't tell you for sure what they did with it, but I did send it to them. Yeah.
I think you're talking about a fundraiser, not a donation drive.
Well, I'll call it whatever, a donation drive, I mean, it's still, did we put the donation drive out on social media?
Yes.
Well, let's just see if we can get the questions answered that we have right now, and
We will have our attorneys get together and start talking, so.
The frustrating part about this is it seems like we're keep on coming up with more questions, and this thing has been going now for how many years,
I
Pat?
totally agree.
5 years, 6 years?
Well, I mentioned it 9 years ago, I
We're-
mentioned it, and then
But
it
then
was,
at the last minute, it seems like it's kind of gets rushed a little bit, and we're not getting all the answers.
No, let's take our time, it's a big investment.
I agree.
Let's make sure it's right.
but it's always pushed back, it's always pushed back, it's always pushed back, and I thought after all the little survey, whatever we did,
We're not saying we're not doing it,
The
let's get our
locker
answers, our
yeah,
questions
I
answered.
wonder what kind of, for $500,000, what kind of just locker rooms could we make?
Probably not much.
Oh, we're doing this huge whole building for 800,
Just my opinion.
I know,
But your cost per square foot doesn't go down.
oh, I know.
I don't know that we got the ground to put
That's
on.
what I was saying, we
It's on
have the
city
land,
ground.
because we're putting on city land.
Well, we own the parking lot at Pine Middle School, was what we were gonna do behind the junior high, which is in the original plans, it was gonna go there. Until the city was gonna get in on it. Yes, it was.
No. That
Is
parking lot was retained to have parking for the tennis courts and the football field. That's why that
That-
parking lot was retained. I was on the board, Pat.
courts.
That's why it was retained.
Well, that's where the discussion went, I guess somewhere wires were
And
crossed.
again, not the board.
Well, the board I was on, I think it was this one, so.
You have enough on that end?
Yep.
Direction,
Got it, thank you.
you're welcome. Next up, job description policy.
Yes, last month, thank you, Cliff, very much, I appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Last month, or last couple months, we've been discussing job description policy. The board requested a wording change prior to action on it, and so changes from our understanding were made and put before you for action for that policy.
So we're looking for a motion.
So the change was just taking it out, correct?
Change was letting Adam come up with the description rather than waiting on us to approve it.
It was just taking out the language about the board essentially approving it.
But we're still developing job descriptions.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Administrative reports.
JJ.
There's some really good things happening at the high school. The first cutting of alfalfa is up in big round bales. I believe, I want to say there's close to 50 big round bales out there.
All right.
And I inquired with the farmer, and he'd sell you one for $130 if you need one, Bob.
Not that hungry.
Yeah.
You should have put out small square bales and
Yeah, they
some
did
of
the
those
second
boys
dirt
lift those
cutting
up.
and some of that, so.
Yeah, if you put it in small bales,
Yeah, we gotta hit home.
you can use the
I'd buy
pickup of
those.
the bales for the football team, get them
Right.
up in shape.
Yeah.
My boys used to do.
And the welding booths that were purchased through the casino, the other day they were in there putting them in. They're really neat.
Cool.
They got fume hoods above them, fume dog hoods, and so that's a great investment the casino's made in our school. So now you'll be able to use the welding things in appropriate places instead of just out in the middle of the shop.
The greenhouses for FFA, are they?
It's
They're up and
it's
running.
there. I haven't seen it.
They're still trying to get the people that are gonna erect it
Okay.
to get down here and get us on the schedule.
Cool. Thanks for the update. Board member comments.
I
Andrea?
think I'm good.
I don't know.
Sarah?
Yes. So for the record, I just wanted to say, JJ, I support your class. I just needed more information. I didn't want it to come across as I wasn't supportive. I was just,
All good. I would have had a better presentation if I'd known it was gonna be
Right.
earlier, so
So
I'll get that for you.
okay, so that was my next question. Are you still gonna present it
Yeah.
even though it's passed? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Because I'm really excited and I think it's cool that you did that, so I just wanted to be clear on that. And then, hold on, I got too many tabs open. Enrollment this year, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the issues that might be coming up that have been brought to my attention. So on the enrollment stuff, on the online enrollment, we have a couple issues, so as we were going through our handbook and our policy stuff, I was noting that anytime we said we were going to make something available at enrollment, I've tried to track it. And so to make sure that we're actually getting like those documents at enrollment. So I don't know if it's best if I just meet with somebody with your team one-on-one to go over my spreadsheet of things that I have that like we're supposed to be, like that we say we're doing at enrollment, and I don't know if we are, because I tried going through it and I couldn't get past that one screen, that I told you about earlier, but that was resolved, so we're good there. But, so I don't know how best to do this.
I enrolled my kids today, what
Okay.
you got?
So, for example, on the question related to preschools for enrollment, it's still mandatory. It was supposed to be optional.
Okay.
And so you can't get past that. When I had talked to you last year as a parent, you had said it was gonna be optional, but it's still mandatory.
Okay.
And then the wellness policy, this is where it gets confusing, because we're going into like documents that we're gonna probably cover at the meeting, the special meeting, because those, those wellness documents and stuff, but like, when we're going on enrollment and we're consenting to enroll, we have to consent to the wellness agreement. But our wellness agreement, for example, that we have hosted on our website, like one page is blank. But the main issue with that is that we have all of our it's all templated. So we have options that we were supposed to choose, we never chose them, we kept them all on there. And we called it a wellness policy when it's not custom to us. All the options are on there. So it's just things like that. And then and then on, sorry guys, I've got too many good things. And then, like, for example, it says, our policy JRB says that we are gonna give annual notice to be given to parents that are eligible students concerning their rights with regard to student records. Like, are we actually doing that in enrollment? When are these parents getting these things that we say we're supposed to be giving them in our board policy? And then, I just have so many, I don't wanna keep boring you guys with this, but, and then like another one, the district shall annually provide parents with the notice of their rights under the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment, that's in our policy IDAE, like when are they getting this? Is that an enrollment thing, do we need to add it to that?
Can you say that one again, please?
What part?
The last bullet point.
IDAE?
Thank you.
So I would just like to sit down with somebody and see if these things are being done. And if not, it's fine, but we need to change some policy or something.
Okay. Well, my recommendation would be to send them to me and I can sit down with those people and try to make that better. That'd be my recommendation.
Okay. And like, for example, in our elementary handbook, it says a permission slip is signed for field trips at enrollment.
Yes.
That is on there? Okay, cool.
I
So
remember
some of
signing
these
that
may
one.
be being done, I don't know, but I need to take the time, we need to take the time to make sure. Okay, I think that's all I'm gonna do for that. And then. I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have anything, go Beat Fest.
With
Best time of the
sincerity,
year.
Why, cause you never see your wife?
Single dad for the week.
The only thing I had is, I watched the meeting that I missed, I watched it on YouTube. It's nice that we have that available for the public. But I listened to the part about the, I'm probably gonna get it wrong, A and P certification, the aircraft and airframe and performance or whatever
Yeah.
certification through WSU Tech. Are we putting anything out on that? I mean, it's enrollment time, how do the kids know that's even available? How do the parents know to talk to their kids about it? What's our
So in
campaign
communicating
here?
with them, we're waiting on their big social media push, along with, I believe it's Senator Moran.
Yeah, I saw that. They
So
talked
waiting
about
on that, because I talked to her, I said, we need to get this out there. She said, yeah, we're putting it together, and like, but you're not gonna have kids if we don't get it out there.
That was my concern.
So they're working hard on it. I don't have a date on when it's gonna be out.
Good.
So unfortunately,
I think it's awesome when we can have those partnerships like this.
if we can get them filled with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that A and P license is good for about $42 an hour as soon as you get your certification. So, yeah, it's a deal.
Good stuff.
That's all I got.
Communications committee's kind of trucking along. We've hit a few roadblocks. We had the transition from Jen to Chad, and we had our first meeting with just Chad today. Kind of my goal, and I've told Adam this from the get-go, and I think I've made it very well known. My goal this year is that we treat every family as if they're a new family to our district. Because I feel like we're getting somewhat complacent, and we've always done it this way, so you should know. But I've never had a freshman in high school. So, everything's new to somebody. So I really want to treat it that way. We are getting a list, and Sarah, if you want to share some of your stuff, getting a list of things that we definitely want to get out early this year. School supply list, we're one of them. We were talking about getting that out this month, but now we kind of don't know where we are with that. But trying to get things out a little bit earlier this year so parents can plan, can spread out costs, things of that nature. We're also coming up with a list of things that we want to have at casino card pickup to make sure that, like you were saying, all these things are filled out, that people are well aware before. Any other orientation kind of things that we need to do, we're trying to get a list of that going. And so we are going to meet again before school starts so we can get all that going. I think we're doing a pretty good job.
I'm good.
I did have something else. Do we need to take out of the consent agenda about lunches?
Yeah, we did that.
We did that?
Yeah.
What was I? Okay, and can I ask a question about the consent agenda now? That's too late.
I think so.
Okay. What do we get for the $13,000 from KASB? Because we have to pay extra for their legal fund, for legal advice. So
What do we get?
what other things do we use it for besides advice, legal advice?
They have, not only do they have lots of things that we attend, but they also lobby for school boards across the state at the Capitol all the time. And then they report out to their communications out to school boards, we can go there for anything, any processes.
And we have to pay though for extra for things we go to.
On some things, not on all things. Yeah, it just depends on what's going on. like the recent Title IX thing that they pushed out and they were trying to get everybody trained really quick, that was all free.
Yeah.
All of our administrators would have gone to that for free, but that's all canceled. But so some things are free, some things they will charge extra for based off of that. The legal service is invaluable. It is great. But it's all about how much you use it. You know, if you subscribe to all the information that they pumped out to school boards, then you get more out of it than if you don't. But they do a lot of lobbying, and so there's a lot of things that they do that you probably don't see.
When we adopt the guidelines for activity funds and gate receipts, the gate receipts are like what we charge at a ball game.
Yes.
Probably too late, but is there any way at some point we can discuss maybe a senior rate? Because some schools charge.
Oh, a senior rate?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I just found out lately that you can see, and I'm not talking about me, no, I ain't qualified, that you can get a senior citizen pass down here for games. Do people know that? I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. Does the league still set gate rates?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, and then the
So it's not-
post-game stuff, it's all set by Keisha.
So, yeah, I don't
I
know.
know how some places do, off the top of my head, I know Bueller does and Mulvane does.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
what was the question I had? Okay. And I do want us to think about having the teachers at least CPR trained and lessons with the AEDs. When I've ever brought that up, I've been told, well, the AEDs, I know they're not IEDs like I called them last time. They do talk to you, they do tell you everything to do, but I just had the training on them again. And when you're panicking and you're trying to, where's the volume on that? I can't hear, you know. It's very short training, but I just think we should have, they're in our buildings, we should have training on those and CPR. Just the other day, 2 high school kids saved a friend's life because it happens more than we think, than it used to, I think. There's lots more heart conditions and, you know, if the high school kids could get trained in CPR, it would save lives. It could be done, I don't know, just like we do those simulating things with the businesses and stuff through the, you know what I'm talking about? Just an afternoon where the high school kids have CPR. I mean, I just think it's important nowadays.
I mean, I had CPR when I was in high school.
I did too.
Do they not train the teachers at
No.
high school, do they?
So there's training sessions, Holly brings in someone to do that, the coaches all get that. I know that when I got here as an administrator, I had to be trained in it. Our teachers don't sit through that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a list. Holly has a specific list. I know all the coaches get trained. And I'd have to ask her who else is still on that list, but she has a certain mandated, and I don't know if it's through the state that mandates that list, but obviously we could add to it.
I know other
It's not gonna
teachers, we have
minimize
to, I mean, I just got recertified and I just probably did 2 years ago. We just had to stay certified. And every day you see somebody on the news having cardiac arrest. And,
Younger,
what's that?
and they're getting younger.
Yeah. So I would like to see us work on something similar to that.
Can I bring up just a general statement real quick? Chromebook policy, we talked a little bit about policy, best practices in our policy meeting with Lori. And so as we're looking at the district handbooks, I wanted to see what everybody thought. Like our Chromebook policy is so long and it takes a lot of paper. So I wonder if we could condense that a little bit. And, you know, Lori said, look at the handbooks like your hotel, you know, like where do I find the bathrooms? Where do I find the exits? That, you know, I think we're putting our policy books in our handbooks, you know? So I wanted to propose that maybe we condense our Chromebook policy in our handbooks to save some paper and just say, hey, reference this policy here, like we do in some of the other policies, so.
Not for this year, just for future.
Well, for this year.
I know it was a new addition to our books this year.
Yeah, I know, Jen sent that out and wanted all principals to put it in, I remember that email, so I don't
Yeah,
know,
and
I don't know
did put it
where
on
she
time, so that's
made that decision that needed to happen, but, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think just a, maybe a one pager, bullet points, and then for the full policy, see it.
Online.
And that's one of the ones that just hit me, the enrollment documents, that's one of the outdated things, we have the outdated Chromebook policy on enrollment. That doesn't include the Securely and the Go Guardian for the content filters. So I know that that's old, because that wasn't updated till October of last year. So that's old.
Anything else? Thank you.
Can I ask a question before you move into, so I know that we altered the Chromebook, or not the Chromebook policy, sorry, the cell phone policy in our agenda. And talking with BLT today, because we met with the building leadership team, we meet today and then we meet tomorrow too to get some things done. With the change in wording to the caddy instead of in backpacks or in those things, we feel like we need to get that new policy out to the public before we get to school, so that they see that, right? That the phone goes in the caddy, and that it's only allowed before and after school, in passing, or in the lunchroom. Because while BLT is completely on board with that, well, if we don't front load our parents and our students before we get there, it's gonna be even harder to get it implemented. So that was a concern, looking at if we don't approve that till August 1st, then that's only 19 days to process that information. So something to think about, but we'd like to get that pushed out there, so. If that.
What's that?
Can we approve that policy tonight?
Just go ahead. We've already done that. We've already approved it, right?
No.
It's in the handbook,
No.
right,
It's a handbook update.
yeah, so, cause that is a change,
Mhm.
and it's a pretty, I mean, it won't be bad for our freshmen, cause they don't have them anyway.
And we say we wanna communicate better with parents, and that would be, yeah.
So if you're okay with me rolling that out, knowing that that's what in the program, then we can start that social media push, because there's other things we have to get out there. We have to get the ref class out there, we'd like to get that out there, the airframe class, those things, so that communicating and prepping them for that information. Because it's gonna be a change, it's gonna be a battle, we're gonna fight, we're gonna win, but I want them to know about it before they get there.
That's what I need to make.
Okay, I can move forward with that.
Well, do we have to vote on it? Cause it's a policy.
That'd be the best thing.
Or you need to make a motion.
So it's in the handbook. The team wants to strike the number 2 consequence out of the handbook because it doesn't make any sense that if they see it, they have to. First one says immediately goes into the caddy. The second number 2 says that they put it on the teacher's desk. So they'd like to remove. I know it's an old policy that we've altered. So they'd like to remove number 2. So it just says the phone goes in the caddy when they get in the room. And that consequences is that they put it immediately in the caddy. If they refuse, they come to the office.
Can you vote on something that wasn't,
Kind of backwards, so I'm sorry. Just
well, my things were too.
So one more time, explain that to me again, JJ, sorry.
so if you pull up, it's
Page it is.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
so they want to strike number 2 from it, which is the consequence. It says the device continues to be visible and/or used. Staff member will request that a student places the device face down on the teacher's desk. So that's what we were doing, right? Because they could carry it on their person. But if we're doing it in the caddy now, instead of letting them carry it on their person, that one's pointless, right? Because you do it, you're going to have them put it in the caddy. So they'd like to strike number 2 from there, and then adopt it as you guys have it written. Cell phones and electronic devices will be silenced and placed in the classroom caddy when the students enter the room. And then it says students will not be allowed to use their cell phones or music devices while in class. Students are allowed to use the cell phones before and after school, during the passing periods and at lunch.
And what about earpods?
It says in the policy you can't have them, and we've talked about that with our teachers. So, but if we're gonna make this change, then we'd like to get it out there.
Don't the Chromebooks have Bluetooth though? Some of them, most of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I assume they do. I don't know.
Are smartwatches an issue?
We've not had an issue with them because kids just use their phones. I think if we bite off the cell phone mountain, get that taken care of, then if those other things become an issue, teachers can address those. My only concern is that I want to get it out there so they know it's coming.
Can we kind of verbally say that's a good idea?
No, it needs to be a vote if we're gonna.
Okay, I
So
move we
put it out
allow,
there.
I move we allow JJ to, start advertising about the phone caddies that we have approved
And make the adjustment.
and make the
Second.
Correction.
correction. Yeah, take out strike number 2.
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Got a motion.
Second.
I think you said that we approved, but we haven't approved it. We're.
We said it was okay earlier.
So this is a motion to approve it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We got a motion and a second.
So discussion point.
Yep.
I guess maybe in one of the meetings I missed, the caddy thing,
Yeah, it was the last month.
last month's meeting
Yeah,
I missed, yeah, there you go, yeah,
Work session. A couple months ago.
okay,
Oh yeah, it's a 3-hour work session.
okay. Everybody's on board with it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign?
Aye.
It's the same sign.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Next up, executive session, student matters for 20 minutes to include Adam and Chad. We'll come back at 8:46.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Yeah.
Even though he already knows how to do it all. Just ask him.
Is he's I saw him up there at one of our tournaments this week.
Yeah,
So he's YouTube.
Oh, from in there?
Yeah, I did.
Is that from in there?
They brought my own. You handed them out last meeting that she has. I'm just saying that that might be. Oh, did you?
Wow. No.
Okay, we're back
You would have stopped me.
in open session, no action was
Yes, you
taken. We need to go back in executive session for negotiations for 10 minutes to include Adam, Chad, and Darcy. We'll resume at 8:56.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say.
Hey, I didn't remember you to stand there.
I wanted to come in.
Like do everyone.
Do what?
Next one.
Still on the same.
Did you get 3 inches the other day? Craft milk is, but I just like.
And the chocolate's got milk in it.
You don't like it?
My son lets me buy my Coke and it's like, alright. Takes out the garage, cuts a hole in it, puts his pipe, goes, oh, why does it taste like soap? I said, 'cause it's not what you think it is.
I remember the first time I had it, I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, like salty saline
Yeah.
water.
What is?
Coconut. Some, I keep,
The
this buy
actual
one, so they
inside
put
of
the hole
coconut,
with the
yeah.
straw in there.
Water.
He was pretty disappointed.
You're back.
Okay, we're back in open session, no action was taken. We need to go into executive session for non-elected personnel for 20 minutes to include Adam.
Or should we do 20 minutes?
We'll adjourn back at 8:16, or I'm sorry, 9:16.
8:16.
I need a motion.
I motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Take your computer.
They forgot to say it.
And take our phone.
I don't know if there's official rules on that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I probably need to go too, just in case, but none of that's mine that I know of. Can you please, I don't have anything.
Yeah, you want some?
Take my time.
No, I found you first.
Okay. I found you all these books.
Look at that. Wow.
We're back. We are back in open session. No action was taken. On to the next. Look, everyone gets back in.
Here we go, Rusty, you ready first?
Rusty got a big one. Time to shine. All right. Next up on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Okay, consent agenda. Act on appointments, designations, and authorizations. Deputy Board Clerk, Darcy Bacon. Food Service Authorized Representative and Determining Official for Free and Reduced Price Meal Applications, Kelly Adams. Federal Programs and Projects Representative, Ann Shinliver. Truancy Reporters, all school building administrators. Coordinator for Homeless Children, Chad Sheets. Capers Representative, Stephanie Lawrence. Freedom of Information Officer, Adam Hatfield. Federal Anti-Discrimination Compliance Officer and Title IX Coordinator, Tierra Lemire. Official newspaper for legal publications, the Wellington Daily News. Official depository for school district funds pursuant to KSA 9-1401, Impact Bank. Authorized a board clerk pursuant to KSA 12-105B, E in parentheses, to pay claims as needed in advance of the regular board meeting in order for the district to benefit from discounts. Authorize application for utilization of funds from Title I, Title II, vocational grants, Eisenhower Math and Science grants, and food service program, free and reduced meals, parentheses. Adopt the hourly required school year as follows. Kindergarten through grade 11, 1,116 hours. Grade 12, 1,086 hours. Adopt the state mileage rate of 67 cents per mile, KSA 75-3203A. Approve membership in the KASB Legal Assistance Fund, $2,750. Approve membership to Kansas Association of School Boards, $12,966.39. Adopt guidelines for activity funds and gate receipts according to KSA 72-8208A. Approve, are we moving district handbooks out of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Approve out-of-state travel for administration to national conferences as approved by the superintendent. Parentheses, these will be put in the consent agenda if approved. Appoint Martin Peck as the district's legal counsel. Appoint Jared Brown as district treasurer. Approve annual contract with USD 619 for 2024-25. Resolutions. Act on resolutions authorizing petty cash and activity funds for administrative offices as presented pursuant to KSA 72-1177 and KSA 72-1178. Petty cash fund amount, superintendent's revolving, $1,000. High school, $1,500. Middle school, $1,500. Special education, $500. Food service, $500. Act on resolution 24-01, authorizing a petty cash fund for superintendent's revolving fund. Act on resolution 24-02, authorizing a petty cash fund for the Wellington High School. Act on resolution 24-03, authorizing a petty cash fund for the Wellington Middle School. Act on resolution 24-04, authorizing a petty cash fund for special education. Act on resolution 24-05, authorizing a petty cash fund for food service. Act on resolution 24-06, authorizing activity funds for Wellington High School. Act on resolution 24-07, authorizing activity funds for Wellington Middle School. Act on Resolution 24-08, authorizing activity funds for Lincoln Elementary. Act on Resolution 24-09, authorizing activity funds for Eisenhower Elementary. Act on Resolution 24-10, authorizing activity funds for Kennedy Elementary. Act on Resolution 24-11, authorizing activity funds for Washington Elementary. Act on Resolution 24-12 to establish Board of Education meeting dates, times, and location. Regular meetings shall be the second Monday of each month at the district's office at 6 p.m. Act on Resolution 24-13 to establish home rule by Board of Education. Act on Resolution 24-14 to rescind policy statements from the previous year. Act on Resolution 24-15 to waive generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. Approve the minutes of the June 10th meeting. Approve payroll and bills. Payroll, $2,530,194.62. Bills, $662,913.73. Transfers. Approve all budgetary transfers to end fiscal year according to state budget guidelines. Personnel, approve new hires. Caitlin Hicks, social worker at the high school. Gabby Mason, para at Kennedy.
Good job, Russ.
Good job, Russ. All right. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign? Okay. That's it. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. August 1st, 6 o'clock.
I really hope I have something to do.
What?
I hope
You
something
do?
comes up and I have something to do. Oh, I just mean I have all day sober before that.
No, we can't have another
No, I
one.
won't be
We're
here.
all
No, I won't be here. No, I won't be here. I won't be there.
Okay.
Okay, please, let's go. Okay.
Also, when she has available.
David found us a vacation